Yeah, just keep it kind of close like I am.
Okay.
But be comfortable.
Okay.
You know what I mean? 3, 2, 1. Dan Greco. Happy to...
Luigi, how you doing?
I'm good, buddy. How you been doing?
It's been an interesting for everyone since this whole hit, but we're hanging in there. It's been good. I think we're all getting used to it, and this is part of the learning process. But I think it's been an interesting time, so that's for sure.
It sure has, boy. It sure has. So, for those people that might not know you, what do you do? Tell us what you do. I mean, I know what you do, but tell the 3 listeners what you do.
I am a financial advisor by trade.
Yeah.
I also, on my personal time, I do run. I don't know if you knew this as well, but I do run Anno in-house. I've been president there for the last, I don't know, 8-10 years. So there's
what's that? What is it? I don't even know what that is.
It's a drop-in home for the street community downtown. We deal with people coming off addiction, and we help 7 men at this time. Stabilize them and get them back into society, transition. And then we also have a drop-in program for the homeless community. So I've been running that for I've been on the chairman of the board for the last 8 years.
Oh, wow. Good for you.
So that's kind of what I do part-time. I'm married, 2 kids, 20 years. Similar to your
financial
stories.
advisor is your main kind of vocation, I guess.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Were you born in Victoria?
I was born in Victoria, yes.
Yeah, so you grew up here just like I did. We're about the same age, I think.
We grew up, Italian school and everything growing up.
Yeah, well, I didn't do the Italian school.
What?
I know. I wish I did, right?
You weren't in Mrs. McKeemy's classes?
No, man. No.
Jeez,
no. I want to finish off this ball of Evan Williams?
Let's do it.
Yeah, no, I was never in it. I don't know how I got away with not being in that.
But your dad's been you guys' parents have been members from the beginning, just like my parents, right?
Oh, God, forever. My granddad
was
a member at the Da Vinci
I don't
Center.
even know how you escaped that.
Yeah, I don't know. I just
no, Dad, I'm not going to Italian school.
No,
I'm afraid of Mrs. McKeemy.
that definitely wouldn't fly with my old man. You know what? Why don't you just finish this, and I'll just have some Buffalo Trace.
No worries. Yes.
Good. I've been murdering these bottles, and I want to get rid of them.
No worries. Appreciate it.
Cool. Let me get a drink here. So grew up in Victoria. What schools did you go to here? Where'd you grad from?
I graduated from St. Andrew's High School.
Oh, okay.
89.
Yeah.
And then I did 1 year at UVic, and then I transferred back east to McGill for 3 years.
Oh, look at you.
And then
Holy
so I realized that I can't live out there, and we moved back. So my family, both my parents are met in Montreal, so
so your parents are from Montreal.
They're from Italy, but
but
they met in Montreal. They immigrated to Montreal, met there, and then they immigrated out here, and I think it was 77 or something like that.
Right.
77, yeah.
Right. And were you born out there?
Yeah.
You were born out there. Okay.
Yeah, I was 6 or 7. We moved out here. So.
Yeah. You still got your French?
No. I don't know about that. But we used to live on Teakwood, right? Part of your parents at Luigi Greco's house. So Luigi Greco. And so that's my
down
dad's
at the bottom
third
of
kid.
Teakwood Street.
Yes, yeah. So we lived in their basement for, I don't know, it was a few months, and then we moved out to Colwood there in 78. And
okay.
School from out there, but so we Luigi Greco, and then they moved back to Italy. So
I know though.
Yeah,
so. I don't know why. I don't know why anyone in those days, especially. I mean, maybe now it's better. I don't know. I don't think it's better at all. But
no,
I don't know why anyone would want to move back to the old country.
No, we got it. We
got it good over here, boy.
Man. We went to Italy and my wife's in Portugal. My wife's Portuguese,
right.
And we both realized that thank God we live here, and thank God we live in Victoria.
Yeah,
instead of back east. It's just
I mean, Victoria is
we're in the right place.
Victoria is got to be.
Yes.
The absolute best place. It really truly is. I mean, I've been all over Canada and the U.S. and and I always love coming home, boy. Always love coming home.
No.
I was thinking about smoking a cigar. Do you smoke?
I do smoke.
Okay.
Yes. I'm not a connoisseur like you are, but
you enjoy it.
Nice to enjoy it.
So I got some contraband over here. I've got Captain Black's the originals. I got these Jarum Bali High.
I used to like those a lot.
Yeah. Now these things aren't even available in Canada anymore, right?
Yeah,
so I still have some.
Didn't you stockpile them or something?
Yeah, we sold out.
I thought you said you stockpiled for like 5 years worth.
We did, and we sold them in 8 months. Yes. We sold out in 8 months. Like, it was insane. So I got those. Plus I got some cigars. I'd be happy to give you a cigar here. What would you like? You want a cigar?
Let's start with
Are you on a Bali High or
let's try with a Bali High. Yeah, let's start smaller, or Captain Jack or
Captain Black.
Captain Black.
Captain Jack's a great name.
Yes. Captain Jack. Isn't that a
You're thinking of Jack Sparrow? Captain Jack Sparrow from
isn't it like a
Pirates of the Caribbean?
Or isn't it like a Scotch or something, or a rum or something? Captain, I don't know.
Captain Morgan.
Yes, Captain Morgan. That's what I was thinking more than anything.
There you go, buddy.
Thanks, man.
Got an ashtray here. I'm gonna smoke a CAO. It's gonna be a full-bodied cigar, but I can handle it.
Let's start. I'm gonna start small. So see what happens.
Take it easy. Yeah. Get in slow. So, how was going to school out in McGill? Was it a good experience? Like, is it a great university? Like, I've heard great things about the university.
Yeah, the university is. So my son's first year UVic this year, and he's enjoying it. And
already, eh?
Yeah.
Insane.
So he knows I went out there, so it's kind of my wife's trying
kind of in his head.
Well, my wife, he's starting to realize he's a sharp kid. UVic's got. What's the best way of putting it? I enjoyed school. I always have. So when I went to UVic, I don't know if I was challenged enough. But at that time I wanted to kind of move out of the house, get away from my parents, to be honest, at being 19, just try something different, university. So I applied to McGill and I got accepted to transfer there. And when I went there, I noticed right away the caliber of the student was substantially higher. Yeah. So thinking I was near the top, I was kind of, I was definitely not.
Yeah, you were like more like the top in UVic, but then you get to McGill, you're more middle of the.
Yeah, so it kind of you realize, and I'm a competitive person. I said, okay, let's buckle down here, and it was a hard. It was just more intense, a lot more. You're dealing with just a lot more competitive students, and just more of intense workload. But so the experience overall. At first, I was a bit overwhelmed, but then as you get used to it, it kind of pushed me a bit more than I would have, I think, being somewhere like UVic, which is a great school. Don't get me wrong. It's just for what I wanted to do and just try something, just to live on my own. Try to be in that. It was the time. It's the time of your life to do it.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But those winters are brutal. I would never. the first winter.
The Montreal winters have got to be the worst. Terrible. Some of the worst in Canada, right?
Yeah, it's from like literally middle of October, November to April. It's literally 6 months,
snow,
and then
cold.
And then it warms up, and then it gets way too hot and humid, and then bugs are bad, and then September, October are the nicest months.
Yeah, I was there in October twice. Once September, once October. Beautiful, warm evenings, beautiful warm days, but not a lot of humidity. So it was really nice. Yeah. So, and what did you take in school there?
Commerce.
Yeah, of course.
Economics, commerce.
You were taking. At that time, did you have any idea that you were going into financial planning, or you just knew business something?
Yeah, I was just more business something, economics something, but I had no idea really what I wanted to do. So back in the time when I graduated, it was 93. For those that remember, it was a deep recession then too, and I came back here, and I wanted to work for a bank, really, and but the banks weren't hiring at the time, and so that's where I wanted to get started. But so I really fumbled around for probably a year and a half or two, and I was went tree planting. I just got odds and ends, jobs, many both. Four summers I went tree planting, but one of my friends, after a while, I was getting a little bit like what am I going to do? This is probably about 24, 25 years old there. And I was, a friend of mine said, why don't you take a look at IG? And I said, you know what?
That's Investors Group for
Investors Group, yes.
That don't know.
Yeah. And I said, you know what? I got no offers. I got really nothing to do. I'm at home. Let's give it a shot and see what happens. And I had no idea about commission sales and just sales in general at the time. And it was baptism by fire for the first, honestly, for 10 years. Yeah, it was. But I eventually, I don't think you start a career knowing if it's the right career for you or not. And I think it took me about 10 years to finally feel comfortable that I feel good at it.
Well, the thing from the outside looking in at a financial advisor, it's like getting into business for yourself.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, it's the same for me. Like, people don't realize, like, the first 10 years of business in the cigar business, like, I starved.
Yeah.
Like, I was starving. The first 5 years, income, forget it. Like, you got nothing.
Yeah.
You're living like a bum.
Yep.
Driving broken down cars, hardly get to work.
Yep.
And then the next 5, you start making a little bit of money. You're just starting to kind of get comfortable. And then after 10, then you figure you're making a living. I've often thought of, if I had just left school and went and got a job, if I'd be further ahead for the amount of hours that you have to put in at the beginning,
right.
The amount of hours, the amount of pain and suffering, the investment, as well as the lack of pay.
Yeah.
It's a huge. That's why I tell people I got like a PhD in business.
Yeah, no, and so I'm trying, ironically, I'm trying to discourage my son to go into business school or commerce because I don't think you can teach commerce. I think you can teach book smarts, but eventually the real world will kick you in the ass. And it's nothing you could learn in school will prepare you for the real world of business.
No,
nothing.
No,
nothing. So I'm not saying not to go into business. I'm saying I just
don't go into commerce for business. If you think you're going to get into business, don't take commerce.
No,
is that okay?
Yeah, I think if you're a business person. And business it's a big word, but you can call it sales.
I think it's a lot of it's sales.
It's sales. It's sales. You can call it business. You can call it whatever you want to call it. But the real world will teach you how if you're good or not. If you're good or not. And similar to most businesses, I think 8 out of 10 fail in the first 5 years. The other next 8 out of 10 fail. Like 1 out of 10 might make it after 10 years. So.
I think that the only reason I made it when I was opened up my cigar store, I was still living at home. I was 24 years old, Italian. It's okay to stay home.
Yep.
And those first 4 years I was living at home because otherwise, well, I had a second job too.
Yep.
I had the cigar store and then I worked nights as a server, bartender, server, right? But just to keep the bills down, it's like...
Yeah, I reffed soccer on the weekends.
Yeah.
It wasn't a conflict because it was weekends.
Yeah.
And it kind of helped me just pay the bills. But I didn't move out till I was like 26.
You came back home from McGill and then moved back. Yeah.
And then the first couple of years at the IG, I was at home. And then... but I wanted to, like most, I just wanted to move out. But I think our upbringing, I mean, even yours is very similar. Like our parents lived on a shoestring, and we learned how we could live on a shoestring. I could live in a box.
Yeah, I could live in a tent, easy.
Yeah, so at the end of the day,
say that nowadays.
No, I don't want to live in a tent. I think those lessons of being frugal and smart, but just grind, like the grind. Really, I would learn that at an early age, and I think at the end of the day, that persistence. That perseverance, I think, paid off. But even when I started, I didn't know if I really liked it. I really started liking it probably because that's not just about making money, but I thought, I finally got a handle of what I was doing. I think it takes 10 years to figure things out. 10,000 hours, 10 years, whatever you want to call it.
Whatever you want to call it,
Yeah, so, and it's been a good career for me. It's not for everyone, but for me, it ultimately has been a good decision.
Yeah.
It was a good decision. But at the time, I was just like, let's wing it, figure it out.
Yeah.
try it, see what happens.
Yeah, I never,
because I really had no other options.
Yeah. No, that's cool. And you know what? That's funny because that's like, I feel like that's so many people's story of how they got into business or what they did in business. It's like when I got into the cigar business, I don't think I ever once thought I'm going to get into the cigar business and make X amount of money.
Right. No.
I didn't do that.
No.
I got into the cigar business because I wanted to be around dudes and guys and have guy talk and just hang out and smoke cigars because I was starting to enjoy cigars and just have a shop where men could come and hang around. Like it was nothing more than that. Like that was probably, if I had to give anyone advice on business, that's probably the wrong approach in some ways.
Right.
It was a great approach because I love going to work. I love going to work every day.
Right.
I enjoy that. But it was the wrong approach because I should have been looking at things like, okay, what kind of profit margin is there in tobacco? What kind of volume is there in tobacco? What kind of
But you learn that eventually.
Well, you learn it, and then by that time it was too late because the margins are the shits, and the regulations are high. And
the thing with regulations in my industry is super regulated, even more so than it was. It's every year it's just
more and more.
Yeah.
It's insane.
So I think you adapt, but you have no idea when you start, and then over time it changes and changes and changes. And so if you're not willing to change with it, then do something else. But I think both of us have adapted, obviously. And I think the 10 years is also a matter of confidence for me in the sense that I finally felt like I knew what I was talking about, and I think it took that period of time to eventually, I think I got more confident in what I was doing for my clients and for myself.
Because I started investing with you when you were really new at it, and you sucked. All they did was lose fucking money. Well, I'm just kidding.
But the reality is, and this is the truth. It's the truth. Is that most new young advisors,
they struggle, right?
They struggle, but they're in lack of a better term, they're practicing on other people's money.
Right. Yeah.
So I didn't have a lot of assets under management at the time. Now I got a lot more, but in that to me, I didn't feel good about that because you're learning, and you make mistakes, and you're learning. Like, oh my God! But the good thing for me is I made a mistake. Okay, let's not do that again, and just try to get better and better and better. So I didn't give up, but I did make a lot of mistakes starting out.
So my brother has been on this podcast a couple times.
Which one?
Dave,
okay.
Dave. And he asked me to ask you a question because I told him he was coming on. He goes, ask Dan what the fucking fees are. What is the fees? Like, so you guys are getting he's in real estate. They're getting regular like crazy. Transparency is like the big thing now. Right. So before I forget, do you want to talk about this? Because I think this is important for a lot of people. They don't know how to read their statements.
Right. So there's two. So in our industry, as of 2015, the fees are now on your statements. But that wasn't the case before that, for sure. They were embedded. Typically, they're embedded. So the trying to be careful with my words here, but
I know that you can't say certain things. You got to be careful.
But I think it's for lack of a better term, they were embedded. They were. I don't think hidden's the right word, but they were.
No, they weren't hidden because I knew what they were.
You could find out what they are,
but they just weren't in plain writing in front of you.
Now they are. So the best way to understand it is that there's many different ways of. There's two types of fees. One is the product fee, the cost of the product. Okay. So if it's simple terms, you have a stock, and there's the cost of the product. So the product can be many different products.
Yeah.
But let's just start with
stock.
A stock. You buy a stock, and you could buy it typically before you bought it. There used to be a commission or a fixed commission to buy that stock, but afterwards there'd be no ongoing fee to own the stock.
So like they called that front end loaded, is that right? No,
not with the stock.
Not with the stock.
Not with the stock. Yeah. Okay. So with the stock, they you would pay a commission Now you can buy a stock for $9 for free on some platforms.
Mm-hmm.
They used to might have been a $50 minimum, $100 minimum. Some brokers are $100, $500 minimum, whatever the minimum is. Those commissions have compressed over the last number of years. Over the years, the fees have gotten less to buy a product, that product. But then there's also what we call a fee for the advice. So the advisory fee is another fee. So you would pay a part of you would pay for the product. Let me just stick with the product first. So you got stock, and then you used to have mutual funds have been common, where you would pay a fund manager, a person, a company, a fee to run that portfolio for you as well. But over the year, especially the last 10 years, there's been an evolution. There's been the financial industry has been able to create products that cost less and less, known as ETFs or exchange traded funds. So you can buy a basket of stocks now that own a piece of the market, but there's not somebody managing it. They just owns an index or something to that effect. So let me drag quick. You can buy a stock for a commission, and then the ongoing product fee is zero on that product. You can pay someone to manage your money actively. It could be Mackenzie, it could be Philip Hager North, there's a whole pile of companies, AGF, Royal Bank. Doesn't matter, it really matters. To manage that fund for you actively for you. But there's also, in the last 10 years, been a proliferation of what we call ETFs, which are passive investments, which are a fraction of the cost of the active manager. So what we've seen is a compression of the product fees and continuing to do so, which I think is a good thing. I actually think it's a good thing. On the other side, and then on top of that product fee, so whatever product you choose, whether it's a stock or an ETF or a mutual fund or whatever, bonds or whatever, there is an advisory fee that is charged to the client. So you have both. You have the product fee and you have the advisory fee, and combined that used to constitute what's called the MER, the management fee, and that can range. Anywhere the advisory fee can range. It really depends on how much assets you have under management, typically in industry. But the more assets you have, the less you're paying. But it can range anywhere from generally 1% for the advisory fee, and up to 1.2 for the product fee, declining to 20 basis points, 10 basis points. So it really depends on what product you want and what the advisor feels you should have, and that's a discussion between the client and the advisor.
Yeah.
So the do-it-yourself investors that are out there that want to do it on themselves don't pay the advisory fee because they do it themselves, but they're still going to end up paying a product fee of some kind. Whether not if they own a stock, there'll be a commission. If they own an ETF, there'll be the product fee that's embedded still, but it's much less. And then if you want to own an active fund, then that will be up to you, but you're not paying the advisory fee. So if you want advice in Canada at the moment, you have those two fees competing for you. Okay. Now there was a time in our company, and 95% of companies used to have what's known as a front-end load or a deferred sales charge. Okay. Those have pretty much been gone the last 5 years. But before, you used to basically commit for up to 5 to 7, anywhere between 3 to 6 to 7 years, depending on that. And then those fees, if you redeem, there would be a redemption fee, but those are
pretty much gone now.
Yeah. So most what you're seeing now is just a product fee that's declining and an advisory fee that would decline as the
portfolio
increases.
Yeah. So I've been hearing something.
Does that answer your question? I don't know if that answers your question.
So it's not easy. So the fees, it's from what I'm hearing, the fees are going down.
Yes.
And they're much, much more transparent.
Correct. So the advisory fee will be on your statement. It will depend what product you choose, but
it'll
you
be
have
there
a choice. Yeah.
It'll be there.
It will be there, but you have much more choice now than you ever did before,
Right.
just because of the innovation that the financial industry has created and will continue to create, I think, over time. So the cost of investing is declining, and so back to that's how that's the fees on it. But so that's how it works.
Okay, so I've been hearing some stuff on social media because I follow some guys, investor guys, and they're saying they're saying invest in a low fee index fund.
Correct.
So I am not going to ask you if that's a good idea or not, because I'm sure that you've got limits as to what you can say as an advisor. I mean, we're not giving financial advice to people.
Yes.
I just want to make that clear.
But I do want to make it clear that costs do matter. Costs do matter.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm not going to shy away from that.
No. You've got to believe what you believe.
Yeah. The costs do matter. I charge an advisory fee.
When I invest my money in the markets, I use you because you give me advice. You tell me where I should go, shouldn't go. If I ask you about a company, you'll give me the details of that company.
Correct.
So there's got to be a fee attached to that.
So I charge an advisory fee because a full service broker, same as a real estate agent. Though there's advice that you're getting that should be worth the fee that you're paying. Should be worth the fee that you're paying. Now.
So to go with this low index, like a U.S. index fund, what is that? That was my question to you. Like, how does someone buy a low fee index fund? Is it a stock? Is it a mutual fund? No. What
so
is it?
It's typically we call it you might hear the word ETF, or that stands for exchange traded fund. So basically, you can buy the S&P 500, for example.
So is there someone managing that?
No.
You're just buying a fund that has a little bit of all those companies in it.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
And so it has proven the last 20 years, per se, that passive investing and ETFs have outperformed what we call active management.
Oh.
However, that's not to say. So I've been around long enough to know that in the 90s. Stock selection did matter, because what happens is that and I'm not saying this is going to be the case. I'm just saying
historically
speaking, the last 20 years, you would say passive investing has
outperformed the managed funds.
Has performed management, but there may come a time, and this might be the time right now, where you got a lot of. So the S&P 500, you have those top 10 stocks are going to be Amazon, Microsoft, Facebook, all the big companies that are basically taking over the index because they're growing so high. So you could, by buying an ETF, you are participating in the market, but be aware that you are disproportionately buying stocks that have done really, really well
over the last 10 years.
Correct.
So you're buying them at a premium, basically.
Correct. So I'm not to say that they're not going to continue to outperform, but in the 90s, because there was a bull market between 1980 and 2000 that basically was a 15-bagger on your investments between 1980 and 2000. I got in 95, so we were at the tail end of that bull market, and then you had the 2000s, which were just crap, and then you had the last. Since 2012, it's been the U.S. in particular has been
pretty good,
pretty good. But there was a period there in the S&P 500. 1998 to 2012, which the market did nothing. The S&P 500, if you look at it.
Yeah. I remember that. Just hearing it just never changed.
14 years where the U.S. market, and that's because people were overpaying for stocks in 2000, 2001, 2002, and then eventually the earnings of a company will match what the price is, and there was another big dip in 2007.
Do stock values eventually get down to what the company is worth?
Correct.
They do eventually, because right now there's some shit that's like out of whack.
So there's a disconnect. You will see.
Well, like Apple, I was looking at Apple. They're paying an 80-cent dividend, and their stock price is like, it's ridiculous.
400, right?
Yeah.
So I remember Microsoft being. So it comes down to price earnings on what you're paying for. So I remember Microsoft. In 2000 was a $40 stock. It had a P of 35 to 40, very similar to what it has right now. And Microsoft right now is a $200 stock. But if you look at the history, Microsoft was a $40 stock for 10 years, 10, 12 years, because there was a disconnect to what it was earning in 2000 and what the stock price was. It kind of went, earnings went like this and the stock price kind of went like this. And eventually...
So it was just undervalued.
It was overvalued.
Overvalued.
But eventually the stock price matched to what the earnings did in the last, in about 2012, they kind of connected again.
Yeah.
But now you're seeing this disconnect where people are overpaying for a stock.
For it.
Yeah. So
the stock price compared to the earnings is the stock price is going up, but the earnings are not.
Yeah. Well, the earnings are not going up as fast as the stock. Yeah. So Microsoft and all the companies made more and more money in the 2000s. Every year made more and more money, but the stock price was still
outperforming their earnings.
Yes. And so what happens is that the stock price stagnated and it waited 10 years for the earnings to catch up to it, and then eventually kind of
right, yeah.
So you're starting to see right now a disconnect again, where you're paying a pretty high premium for a stock, and you could be
in trouble.
It could be dead money for a while.
Yeah.
So there's a difference between there's always a difference between a good stock and a good. Just because it's a good company or a good product, it doesn't mean it's a good stock.
Oh, right. I got you.
Tesla is a phenomenal product, but the stock price, you're wondering what it does. You're wondering what the hell's going on. So sometimes people get caught up in that this is a great company, great product, but it's not earning what the stock price is suggesting, and it's either the earnings have to grow, which it can happen, but nothing grows to the sky.
Right.
So you might. It's just experience. I've been around long enough to know this.
Yeah. Because
people forget about this, but that's the reality. Is
I went through the .com thing.
Yeah,
and people were paying so much money for stocks that were losing, for companies that were actually physically losing money, and they were paying like $200-$300 a share.
Yeah,
that made no sense at all, and it was just looking to.
Well, the Nasdaq went to 5,000 in 2001 or 2. It was 5,000. It went to 1,000 within a year, and it stayed. To get back to 5,000. I think it's almost 10,000 now, but to get back to 5,000 took 12 years.
Wow! So your money could have just been dead for 12 years, just sitting there.
So that's
where an advisor comes in.
That's where it can help. And but I don't have a crystal ball. No. I might be, but at the end of the day, making sure you stay balanced. And the two things I think the advisor, in simple terms, can help you is to manage two things. Is to manage your fear, not to get too stressed out if it goes down, like March, like 2008.
Like March of this year, April this year.
Yeah. So
I didn't even look.
If you sold,
I just knew it was going down.
It was literally a flash crash.
It did. It happened overnight.
40%
in like a week,
2 weeks. There. Yeah. And then, and the other flip side of it is, and I haven't seen this yet, but I'm prepared for it, is greed. It's people like, I'm going to buy it and it's going to continue to go up, which
that happened in the .com.
Yeah, it happens. It happens. It happened 2007 and 2008 in the States with real estate.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
It's always going to go up. Nothing ever goes up forever.
Right. So this is where I think a good advisor will help you recognize and manage your emotion, not to get too fearful, not to get too greedy. And if you can do that, you should have a successful outcome over a lifetime of investing. So I'm not saying everybody needs an advisor. I think it's tied to financial literacy and how you feel comfortable investing and stuff. And some people don't want to spend the time to do that and should hire an advisor. But there are a lot of ways you can learn about the markets, but recognize that it's a 10,000 hour thing.
Yeah,
it's not easy. And if investing was easy, everybody'd be rich.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So I throw that back
Investing
at people.
is simple, but it's not easy. Anyone can throw some money at something.
And so I was having a haircut this morning, and the hairstylist was talking about.
Nice.
Did
you have to wear a mask?
I had to wear a mask. Yes. So, but he was talking about investing and how he lost a bit of money. It wasn't a lot of money, but I just said he just bought whatever, and I said, just if you can. You got to learn from your mistakes and stay in the game, but financial literacy and managing those two emotions are easier said than done.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's to answer David's question, that's the question. But I hope that answers his question. But.
Yeah, I think. His question was about fees. You got that covered. I'm pretty sure.
So it's just but fees do matter. I get that, and same with in the sense that if you're not getting value for the fees you're paying, you shouldn't be paying those. You shouldn't be paying them. Yeah. So if you're not getting advice, that's more than just kind of top up your RSP in February. That's important, and so that if you don't feel like you're getting value, then you need to have a conversation with your advisor. And most advisors that I know should do a pretty good job.
Yeah.
But there will be some that don't.
There will be some that don't, for sure. I meet lots of advisors in my business, customers, and I get approached a lot about, investing with them and stuff. But, when you got a good fit and someone you can talk to,
in the end, you're hopefully paying for experience and good advice at the end of the day. So that's what I've kind of. But there's many ways to make money in the market, but the industry, as like I said, is now, I wouldn't say before 2015, is doing a much better job on transparency.
Yeah.
So, and that's important. I think I'm all for that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Good. So I wanted to just backtrack a sec when we're talking about stock value. I've always known, or been taught, I should say, that you don't buy a company based on future potential. You're buying a company because, like, if a stock is overvalued,
correct,
and people are buying that stock and it's overvalued, and they're considering future potential of that company, is that a good enough reason to overpay for a stock?
Well, and this
like Apple, for instance.
Apple,
or if you don't want to get specific, that's cool.
No, but companies like I think you're.
Do you pay for potential, or do you pay for earnings today?
I think you pay for earnings today, but you need to be in the right. You need to be in an industry. You need the stock or the company, to say the company needs to be in an industry that's growing.
Right. So
that's important.
Yeah.
So
you might not want to buy airlines right now. I mean, just possibly.
That's that you
again. I'm probably pushing you into advice, and I don't want to. I don't want to do that. But
I'm saying there's
probably opportunity with well researched.
Correct. Yeah. So I think at the end of the day, you want to be investing in companies that are in an industry that have a lot of potential. So that's and that is well run. So again, you can buy the individual. So this is what I'm saying: is you can buy an index that has diversification instantaneously, but not you're just buying everything at the same time.
Yeah.
Or you can buy the individual securities, or you can buy. I would venture to buy a combination of active, passive, and individual securities. I think that to me is been in the last number of years, I think is not a bad idea to hedge your bets.
Yeah.
To be diversified and to buy different things that act differently, that do different things. And I think that's what I try to do for my clients, is try to combination of things that I think you'll because you don't need everything to be winning at the same time. Because I always say to people, if you have 10 investments or 10 funds, whatever, 2 or 3 are going to do well in any given year, 2 or 3 won't. 2 or 3 might break even, but it's okay, because usually the ones that do poorly are the ones that do better in the next coming years, and usually the ones that do poorly. So it's important that you maintain a disciplined approach to not get overexposed in any one area, one sector, one stock, and you do that, you'll be okay. You'll have a success. You put the odds in your favor to have a successful outcome, but there's no guarantee.
Right. Yeah. Never a guarantee.
No.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah. So
that's the best non advice I've ever heard.
Well, I've just the more you know, the less you understand.
Yeah.
And so I've been around so long that I just like I just try. I don't know what's going to happen. So
yeah, and I'm not
saying to over diversify, but just be cognizant that there are different strategies work at different times for different reasons.
Yeah.
And if you have a bit of everything, because you're not trying to hit a home run, because if you try to hit on everything, but because you're going to strike out on a few, but those ones that do well are going to carry your portfolio over the long
portfolio
term.
Forward. Yeah. No, I like it. So, makes sense. I want to talk to you about since now I didn't know that you're working on homelessness in our city. That's a big issue right now. In our city. And I was having this, I didn't really get into it, but I had a quick conversation with someone today about homelessness. And I'm going to ask you to educate me a little bit on that. Now, let me tell you what I said first, and then you can tell me if I'm out to lunch and I'm just a fucking redneck or whatever. So I said, the guy I was talking to said, the reason we have so much homelessness in Victoria is because of the cost of housing. The cost of housing is cost prohibitive in Victoria. It truly is. It's ridiculously expensive. So do you think, the main driving factor for homelessness in our community, or is it other factors? Like in my belief, it's PTSD, it's drug addiction, it's mental illness. And I would say that's the majority.
Yes, I would concur with
you. Do you agree with that?
So I would say to you.
So now, if you agree with me, how do you know that I'm not just talking out of my ass? How do you know that this is like? How does someone find out what is the cause of the problem that we're having in Victoria? Like, how does someone know this? Like, truly know it?
So my perspective, just being on the front line, and I see it, but I'm also a business person. I'm also a property taxpayer in Victoria. I see all the sides. I try to see all the sides.
Mm-hmm.
I would venture to say that 95% of the people that are on the street have suffered a trauma of some kind in their lifetime. Gabor Mate, who's a famous physician on the Vancouver East Side, has written a number of books on it, that these people, and in their youth at some point, suffered something that we would never be able to imagine.
Right.
And I think if it's something massive, it's something serious, and so they've gone into a pattern of self-medicating, and they've gone a pattern of not dealing with those issues. It's not to say that they never will, but at the moment they just haven't dealt with it, and getting into the self-medicating of whatever it is, could be alcohol, substance abuse, whatever it is, gets them into a very vicious cycle that they have a hard time getting out of. So I think if we go in the lens realizing that most of these people have suffered something that you would never can imagine.
You never want to.
You never imagine, and these are people's kids. It could be our kids. It could be, these are people's children,
mm-hmm.
That for whatever reason just got into a really bad just into a really bad
way,
and that can be compounded with mental health. That can be compounded with a bunch of different reasons. And so I think.
So do you think like the underlying cause would be some sort of trauma?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yes, that they are self-medicating, and then they ended up self-medicating to numb that pain.
Right.
And because the drugs, in particular, if they're taking drugs, are so powerful and so addictive, it gets into a really dangerous place. And so, but you can't help people until they're ready to help themselves. That's the trick. And so So I think if most people went into the mindset that realized, okay, this is somebody's kid, that something's bad happened, but they're just got into circumstances that are just unimaginable. I think the perspective of who these people are, and they all are all people that it's a complicated, but it's a tough tough situation. There is a small element though that is a criminal. They're just going to be badass criminal activity. Like there's just so that will always be the case. But the vast majority of these people are just stuck, and they're playing Russian roulette with their lives because they're just not ready to deal with what they got to deal with. Yeah. And so, as a society, I think it's important that we're ready to deal with them when they're ready. But it's tricky. It's very tricky because if they're living on the streets, trying to feed their addiction, they're going to commit crimes that just to survive, and petty theft just to feed their addiction. So at the end of the day, it's a very, very tough situation. I believe, though, that I think the city of Victoria in particular has gone on. It can go a little far. They're going a little far because it's a fine line between helping and enabling.
Mm-hmm.
And so, by providing free housing without the supports that go with it, it can make things worse, as we're probably seeing right now. So
like, I want to make it crystal clear to people that I am of the mindset that I am willing to spend more tax dollars or pay more tax to get these people the help they need. Like, I just want to make sure that people understand that, because sometimes they think just because I get on the council about the way they're dealing with homelessness that I'm not empathetic towards these people. I truly, truly am.
Right.
And I don't believe that I can walk to my place of business where I wear, a suit, or, well, I don't wear a suit, but you know what I mean? Dress well, sell a high-end, expensive product to well-to-do people, while I'm walking past homelessness and it not affect me. Correct. It 100% affects me.
Correct.
It's not that I don't want to see it. I don't want it to exist. I want them to be helped.
Right.
So it's like, what I mean?
The challenge is that first off, this is bigger than, this is not a municipal.
It's too big for the municipality to handle.
This is a medical health. This is a provincial issue.
Yes.
This is much more of a provincial issue than it is. The municipality is can't run deficits. They can only do so much.
Yeah.
So this is definitely much more of a health crisis. And so the resources for mental health have just not been there. They're improving. They're getting putting a lot more money into it, but they just don't exist. And they're getting better. But the reality is it's not there. We're not where we need to be. But you can't want to get these people help. They have to be ready to be sick. They have to be sick and tired of being sick and tired. They have to be ready to say, I want help. And because as soon as they start saying, I want help, I want to get out of this, the resources are there. But to get them to that point of like to do better is on them. And that's where I think the frustration lies, is people think we can fix this, but we can't fix this. We can provide the resources and be ready for them to be when they're ready, to make sure that the resources are there. And they haven't been there. They're getting better, but they're just not nowhere near where they need to be. So
is the province putting enough funds towards this?
I think they're just started. The NDP in this since they got into power, have created the Ministry of Mental Health and Addictions. They're getting serious. Housing is important to stabilize, and people need a safe place to be. But it's not enough to provide the housing. You need to provide the source, the resources to support them to deal with the trauma that they've suffered. But at the same token, you have to wait for them to be ready.
Yeah,
and that's the tricky part. And at Anowin House, that's we're a sober facility. You can't use at our facility, and we're one of the few that we're high barrier that way.
Okay, so tell me the name of it.
Anowin House. So it's across from.
Say it again.
Anawim House.
Anawim.
Yeah, it's on across from Royal Athletic Park. It's a blue house. It's a small. We're small. We're very small.
Sure, but it's like a. What would you call it? Like it's not a halfway house. What's the definite? What do you do?
So we have
there?
we have two programs. One program's a drop-in program, which we've had to close, mind you, since COVID started.
Okay, yeah, fucking COVID.
We're starting to open now. So that kind of compounded it. We're like, everybody closed. Like our place, we closed everything. So these people are just there's nowhere for them to go right now.
Yeah,
it's starting to open up now.
Yes,
but it's been a really tough tough sledding for these people.
Yes. So you've got this house.
And so the idea is that the drop-in program, in a sense, anybody can come, using or not, to shower, laundry, get some food. But for those that said, you know what, Terry's our house director says, I want to get out of this lifestyle. Can you help me? And so they have to be sober for a certain period of time, and then willing to change as well. And if they can handle, we have 7 residential beds for men at the moment, and we provide them housing, we provide them supports, we triage counseling and deal with their trauma. That's what we're trying. And then eventually we help them get transition out of the house into long-term housing. So it's a place between getting sober, detoxing, treatment, to getting back into the society. So that's kind of our where we are on the spectrum of housing. We are in the middle of opening up a 7-bed women's facility as well. I can't say where, but it's in Victoria as well. But the same idea, but that won't have a drop-in program. So that's kind of the model. Our model really rests on trying to help people, relationship. The opposite of addiction is connection. And trying to build a relationship. So we're not a big, massive institution. But
are you guys a Christian organization, or
not really? We are our own thing. Having said that, most of our board does comprise of people of the Catholic Church community, but we are non-denominational. It just happens to be well supported by the church community, but we do get funding from Victoria Foundation, from private donors,
so people can donate directly to your organization.
We're a charity, but our idea is to help connect with people, have a relationship, and help them deal with the trauma that they've suffered, so that they can really try to move on. There'll be slip-ups from time to time, but I think that for us that model works. One person at a time. That's really what the model is one person at a time, one person. And it's not always about homeless people on the street. It could be homeless people at risk of homelessness, or people dealing with poverty, people dealing with mental health, people dealing with fleeing violence. There's many different reasons. Addictions and substances seems to be front of mind for most people. It is most of the time the situation, but it's not always the case that people are on the streets because of addiction.
What are some of the other reasons? Poverty, just
simple poverty.
Yeah.
I've lost my job. I've separated. Mental health. Yeah. They just can't hold down a job, and maybe they've lost their relationships in their lives, and they've been, kind of like lost their connections with people, and so they're kind of drifting. And so, again, but it comes down to there's some kind of trauma that happened, and for most people, but you can't help people until they're ready to help themselves. Yeah, that's really the
Is there any way that, I know it frustrates people in our community.
Absolutely,
right?
I can get that.
Because we want to give them housing. What if they don't want the housing?
Correct.
What if we want to give them drug treatment or addiction treatment? They don't want the addiction treatment.
Correct.
Some people want to live in the park or sleep on a park bench. It's frustrating. So I guess no one has this answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway. So for a person that is frustrated with that and is willing to set up something for them to get some help, but then they don't want the help, what the heck do you do? What do you do? Just let them sleep on the street?
That is.
It would be unlawful to pick them up and put them into some sort of a facility, correct?
Yeah. So again, dealing with people with mental health and addiction issues, you can't help them unless they want to help themselves. And and anybody that goes into, even if you go into like for example, if you have a kid that has mental health issues,
Mm-hmm.
you go into get treated in a hospital or medical facility, the psychiatrist is the first one to tell you that you can't force them to take these drugs.
No, even a minor?
Minor, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can't force people to take the antipsychotic medication or any this medication.
Yeah.
They have to want to take that medication. Even this is just if you had a kid that has mental health issues, and there's a medication that can help them.
So if you've got a 12-year-old or 14-year-old, you cannot get them to take that stuff. You can't
if they don't want to.
If they don't want to, yeah.
So so how do you get them to change? That's $1 million question.
Yeah.
But I think they have no chance. They have less of a chance to want to help themselves if they don't have the supports, the connection, the love from people that love them. Whether it's parents, grandparents, friends. if they have no reason to live, or no reason to get help, they won't. They'll resist it. But if they have a reason to, so it's on us as a community to try to help. Not say to help, but to try to generate a connection to keep encouraging people to try to get the help that they deserve.
Right.
Because it's a spiral that can get out of control quite quickly. And so you can't force anybody to get treatment, to take medication. You just can't. They have to be ready. So you can accelerate that readiness by providing this person some form of connection, some form of support, of love, really, at the end of the day.
Well, if it's your own kid, just keep loving them.
That's right.
Like that's my main. That I know this. I've never experienced anything like that. I am absolutely blessed.
Right.
But if you're going through anything with your kids, just keep loving them and accepting them for who they are. And God willing, they'll come around and look to you for help. But if you shut them out, there's no chance.
Or you embarrass them. Or the number one thing that the kids, in particular teenagers, to overcome is shame.
Oh, okay.
Shame from their parents, shame from their friends. That shame
of like from after doing something that was irresponsible, or
like just if they're in the throes of some kind of mental health crisis, that shame that they feel, that can you need to address that in a supportive way, so to try to get them to reduce that shame feeling that they have on themselves.
Right.
But a lot of, I don't say a lot, but some parents or some people continue. They throw the guilt back at them. They throw they're just not there for them to meet them where they're at.
Yeah.
And so that's where and it's nobody is prepared. Like most parents aren't prepared to mentally to see that happen in their kid, right?
Yeah, God, it's gotta be brutal.
So I think, and so to relate it to the homelessness issues, I would bet that somewhere as a kid, as a teenager, some trauma happened. There's some shame attached to it that was compounded because the supports were not there, or made them feel worse, and they started moving away from that support network, or which is often the case, they don't have a support network. They're in a foster. Their parents are drug addicts, or there are no parents. They're in a foster system that keeps cycling the thing. So at the end of the day, I think that's where it kind of starts. And if we can get early intervention, you will, because eventually these teenagers become adults. Eventually these people on the streets, they were kids at one time, but they just
they were born perfect, right?
So if we can get early intervention, if we can get supports there, if we can educate parents and schools and teachers, the whole as a society, if we can do better to support them when that happens, when they're younger, and try to get them to support early, and intervene early, you have a much better chance of them gravitating to that lifestyle and then becoming adults and just getting entrenched in that type of lifestyle. So it's complicated. That's what I'm saying. You see these people on the streets. I'm like, there's a story.
Yeah,
there's a story.
I know, walking by and saying "get a fucking job" is not going to help.
Well, maybe that woman got sexually assaulted at 14 years old.
Yeah, right.
By 4 different.
You don't know.
multiple people, and she's dealing with a trauma that you can't even imagine.
No, exactly.
And she's on heroin because she's the shame, the guilt is and so nobody becomes a drug addict or abuses alcohol to intentionally become an addict.
Yeah, right.
You don't use to become an addict. You become an addict, and particularly now. The drugs are so powerful that you could be hooked on heroin and just genetically you're just predisposed to being hooked on it in after one use, and you're done.
Yeah,
and so without that connection early on, it's very difficult to break. So we deal with the adult population at Anawim, but at the end of the day, I think if people had that empathy to realize. There's some story there that we're not seeing and they don't want to share. And they might never share it, but I think we have a little more empathy. I think the visceral response we're seeing right now, I think would help. But at the end of the day, I don't know how you can't help people that don't want to help themselves. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
But you better be ready as a society to have those treatment facilities, place for them to go if they're ready to go. And that's where I think it's been lacking, is that they've wanted help, but they just don't know where to go, where to turn, and the supports haven't been there. But they are getting better.
Yeah. I think just simple stuff like the way, at least my daughter's experience. Like my daughter is 15, and she's so much more in touch with what's going on in the world, in her school, in her friend group. They don't tolerate bullying. They don't tolerate mean people. They don't. Right. They're just. I think that they're learning. They're way ahead of where I was at that age. Right. At 15, I didn't.
Yeah, we didn't know what.
Totally out of touch.
But mental health is more common than uncommon. Mental health illnesses, and so us growing up, I would say we had probably no idea.
I had no idea.
It's becoming much, and I didn't. Prior to being a parent, or even up to until my kids were teenagers, I had no clue either.
Yeah, same. Yeah, same.
But as a teenagers, the kids nowadays are so
they're in tune.
They're in tune, but they're so much more at risk of mental health issues because when we were growing up, if we wanted to learn something, we would be like, okay, I'll ask mom and dad. I don't want to ask mom and dad, but or I got to go to the library. I got to take the bus, go to the library, and research it.
It was difficult.
It was, to find information. Now, with social media, they just bypass the parents completely and ask their friends.
Yeah.
That also don't know what the hell they're doing. So that's the danger with social media, is that it's a good tool. I'm not saying it's a bad tool, but it's a tool that the kids use to bypass their parents where to get help if they need help. Okay,
so you said that kids are more at risk now,
right? Because they don't ask their parents, or because parents get cut out of knowing
what's happening.
Not what knowing, but the kids will be more likely to ask their friends through social media, or just look up social media to figure out what the solution is. But what's on social media and what their friends are saying to them might not be right.
Might not be right. Or good advice.
And they take it as gospel.
Yeah.
So that's where I think having a good relationship with your kids is super important. An open relationship, an honest relationship with your kids, and keep encouraging them to come to you, because when we were growing up, I think it was just difficult to go to ask your friends for stuff, because you had to,
make a phone call.
Yeah. But now they can just do it incognito in their room at night on their phone. On their
laptop. They could do it in a chat room totally anonymously.
Yeah. But the predators out there are on social media.
Oh yeah,
they're on all of them.
Yeah.
And I didn't know this.
Yeah,
but they're on there everywhere. They're just trolling
like crazy.
And so that's where I think it's accelerated the mental health crisis that we are seeing. And A, people are more aware of it, but B, it's accelerated, and the system is at capacity. Has been at capacity for many. They say the rates of depression have gone up 400% since the iPhone came out in 2008.
Jeez Louise.
So at the end of the day, we can't put the genie back in the bottle. We have to work with what we got. But we have to be mindful that parents have got to be aware of what's out there. And most people, our generation, I'll first one to admit that I had no clue of what's out there, and it's pretty scary. So, but it is a powerful medium for positive too. It's not all negative, but that's where having a relationship is important.
Yeah, I just drank like a half a dozen fruit flies.
Well, there's a few in here, but it's all good.
What the hell? I literally, what the hell's in my?
Yeah, so
where the hell are these guys?
Yeah, it's all good. I don't see them, so I will drink it. Good protein.
Yeah, good protein.
Yes.
Jeez Louise.
So anyway, I think that's. I think as a society, it behooves us to keep trying and to do our best. It's a sign of our society, how we treat our weakest.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with that.
But we definitely, I'm of the mindset that we need to not defund the police, and we need there's a criminal element.
I'm of the
out
mindset
there
to give the police more funding, more money, more ability to deal with people with mental illness and trauma. Give them more training.
Yes.
If you defund the police, then you have to fund someone else. You just can't defund the police and pretend like this is all going to go away.
Right.
The police are not causing these
problems.
problems.
I have friends that are on the police force.
Yeah, so do I.
So, and at the end of the day, they don't want to be doing this stuff. They didn't join the police force to be dealing with
homelessness.
With homelessness. So, and I think Oregon has it right to update the Police Act, and that will happen in due course. So I think as a society, we're doing better than people think we are. But at the end of the day, it's hard to watch. But we can't stop trying.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely right. We got to keep trying. I'm not 100% sure if the way we're dealing with allowing people to set up tents and kind of camp in public spaces permanently is a good idea.
I don't think again, it's a fine line between enabling and trying to get people help.
Someone put it, I heard someone on the radio put it to, when you allow someone to camp and keep their camp day and night, they become territorial. Yeah. And then they start to hoard and accumulate stuff in that area, right? So if you allow them to set up tent, sleep comfortably, warmly, dry,
right,
and then have to tear it down, they don't have that territorial sort of thing. They don't have like this big town that starts getting set up. There's no accumulation of material around their tent.
Right. I think that's a good idea to take. I think when you're dealing with anybody with mental health and addiction issues, the moment we start making it comfortable for them, and not in a mean way, but the more comfortable we make, the less comfortable we make it, the more likely they might seek change.
Right.
And say, you know what, I'm sick of this, I want to do something else. But the more comfortable we make it, the less likely they're going to want to seek change sooner. I'm not saying they won't ever, but I think there's a certain element of trying to make things uncomfortably comfortable for them that that might jog them to try to make a change. So I think it's a fine line providing shelter. You can't. I know the law says you can't stop them from tenting overnight and stuff, but the more, if we can make it a bit more uncomfortable.
Well, the law says you can't tent during the daylight.
During the day, but overnight you can.
Yeah.
Which is a human right, which is
fine.
Which is fine. If we can make it a bit more uncomfortable, I think you'll see generally people trying to seek a different, getting some help.
Yeah.
I think if we make it comfortable for them, then you want to get them to a point where they're sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I mean, the one thing we closed down, you correct me if I'm wrong. Did we close down some of the shelters and the places for people to sleep because of COVID, right?
Yes. We're starting to open up now, but
because we were worried about social distancing. Well, when they went into their tent communities, there was no social distancing occurring anyway.
Right.
So I think closing those facilities down, in hindsight, which is 2020, I think it was a mistake.
Well, we closed down, not for them, but for our staff.
Oh, okay.
And so I think that's the key thing is that there's two sides to the thing.
Yeah.
There's the operation side of things, the staff. And if it became unsafe for staff,
then
you have no choice. So
yeah.
it's just crappy all the way around. So you have to keep I think that was the more of the issue is how to keep it safe for staff. Like the staff weren't feeling safe.
Sure.
And rightfully so.
Yeah. My staff still don't feel 100% comfortable.
Yeah. So I think that's the fine line, and I don't have an answer. But that's we're going to get through this COVID thing in due course here. I think it has to be safe for the campers, but also the staff, and I think all the service providers are struggling with that right now.
Yeah, fair enough. So you guys will be opened up fully back to regular operations? No?
We have the residential side because we can close the house and the residents live there.
Right.
But to the public, it's limited. You can't come inside. There's all this safety protocol.
Yeah.
Because we got to keep our staff safe. Because there's liability there that we can't take on, or else we won't be around after this is done. Right.
So I've got a retail location downtown that I don't allow people to come in. The general public's not allowed to come in. We speak to them from outside. They're outside. We're inside. There's a piece of glass that between us with a 1 foot slot that we pass product to and from. Right? You've been there. You've seen it.
Yeah.
Is that the right move at this point? Still?
Yes.
Not allowing them in.
Yes.
Okay. I had a health inspector come in.
You will struggle. I think I've been in your store. You just don't have the space.
Yeah, I know.
And that's just the reality.
Yeah.
So that's the right move.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I had a health inspection from my VHA guy, and he wrote me up.
Why?
Because product is visible from the outside of the store.
Oh, goodness.
Right? And his suggestion was, why don't you just let people in? This is a guy that works for VHA. I was actually floored. And I was like, can you keep your mask on while you're in here? You shouldn't even be in here. Like, I wear my mask when I go to stores now. I didn't for the longest time. But now when I go to the bank or the store or wherever, I got my mask in the car. I wear it. I put it on. I go and do my banking, my post, whatever I need. I put my mask on.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's kind of like starting to ramp back up, and we don't need this. I got kids. Like, they got to go to school in like 4 weeks.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't. That doesn't make any sense to me.
It's crazy, right?
That doesn't make any sense.
It's not just me.
No, it's not just you.
Okay,
no, it's just you.
I was like,
We go to Bon Macaron all the time.
Yes.
I don't know if you've been there. But,
no, I haven't, but I know
they
the
only
place.
allow one customer, and they have just on across from Pagliacci's there. So they have a decent size. It's a little bit bigger. Just quite a bit bigger than you. The entrance is quite a bit bigger than yours.
Yeah, because my entrance is kind of tight. The store opens up once you get in, but the entrance is tight.
Yeah, and so they allow one household at a time in, and you have to wait outside. So, but they have the space to make that work.
Right.
But I don't see your store. You're so tight. I don't see how you would be able to stop somebody else from coming in. Just the in and out, just that door alone makes it difficult.
I know, it's difficult.
Yeah. No, I agree with your approach.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So we've been talking about some ideas where we may block off half the store and then allow people to come to the counter, and then we'll have like plexiglass up there so that we're behind the plexi, and then that we can serve them inside the store.
Right.
But not allow them to go any further unless it's like one at a time. But I'm not really sure how we're going to do door control at that point.
Yeah.
It's, and then of course, our inspector wants the doors closed. So now what do I got? Because that's the law.
Right.
It's written pre-COVID. You know, you'd think they'd almost be like, okay, this isn't the perfect, but let's just let this go for now.
So they wasn't willing to work with you? Or?
No. God, no. Ridiculous. You know, so it's like, it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. You're trying to do the right thing. And, you know, and it was funny because he thinks it's benefiting me to do it this way, to keep the doors open so people could see in. I'm like, this is not benefiting me. I will guarantee you 100%.
There's no traffic.
Well, first of all, there's no one downtown, right?
No
like the whole city looks like a freaking ghost town.
We were there yesterday.
It's sad. I was downtown Sunday.
Yeah.
I didn't go downtown yesterday or what day is it today? Tuesday? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I didn't go down Monday, Tuesday, but I was downtown Sunday working, and I'll tell you, everyone was on edge. There was like a real like homelessness kind of a feel. There was a lot of that kind of element around. I don't want to sound like a total dick. Yeah. Because I park at Centennial Square.
Right.
So there was a lot of like,
yeah,
just a lot of like despair.
Right.
And then the people that were around seemed kind of like on edge, like, you know, and then it's tough, man. It's actually really saddens me right now. Like,
we went downtown. Yes, me and my wife just go for. We go once or twice downtown, try to support the restaurants, wherever support. And so we at first we went to the veranda there at the queue at the Fairmont.
Yes.
And then we walked in. It's fine. Everything's fine. And then we looked at the menu. It's like 3 things to order, and we're like, we didn't want any of them. So we kind of said, there's nothing here we like. So sorry. And I understand why they have a limited menu. I get that.
Limited staff, I guess.
Limited staff. So we're like, okay, no problem. So we went around to where the wax museum used to be. There's a
I don't know what it's called, but
there's a restaurant there. Yeah. But then we went there, and the patio was empty, and we're like, okay, we can't get you in because we have 1 server. I'm like, you have 1 server on BCD? We have 1. This is 1:00 in the afternoon.
Oh, so on Monday?
On the Monday, and we're like 1 server, so we just don't have the capacity to serve you until 2:30. I'm just like, this is 1, and we're just like,
oh my goodness.
I'm just like, okay.
They couldn't get there. Well, you know what? I'm having the same problem in a small scale where people don't want to come back to work.
The tables are empty, but there's no service.
Oh my gosh.
So we're like, oh, okay. I understand, no problem. We get it. And so we walked around went to the Commons, and the Commons, they actually did a good job. It was they had good food, and but we sat at the patio, and it was like there was barely anybody downtown.
It's crazy.
Right
at the Inner Harbor,
right
basically.
Inner Harbor.
Yeah.
And we're just like, I'm just like, there's a few people, but it's just local people.
Yeah. And
you could just a market difference, and so, but they did a good job there, and the social distancing and all that stuff, and it was we felt fine in there and safe, and so as best as we could, and. But it was like we had to go to 3 different places to find a place
that could, oh my God.
So it was just
it's harsh.
I was just like, this was BC Day.
That's unbelievable. That's a long weekend.
Wait till October.
Oh.
You know?
There's five businesses on our block, Pandora, 500 block of Pandora that are gone. 5. It's insane. Yeah, it saddens me. Well, I hate to see small businesses fail because I'm a small business owner, and I know the pain and suffering that these guys go through.
There was a boutique. I bought my wife clothes there beside Bon Macaron there. That block there on, I guess that's Broad.
Broad, yeah. I don't know the street, but I know the street, but
couple retail in there are just gone.
Gone.
Yeah. So I'm just like, and I go. Some of the other places gone. I'm just like the chocolate place, Bernard Callebaut's gone.
Oh,
just like it's just gone. I'm just like. I feel so. It's gonna be tough.
Yeah,
it's gonna be tough.
And now compounding. People don't want to go downtown because they're hearing on the radio about these, tent towns that have started and the danger of downtown. I don't think downtown is dangerous.
We didn't notice
downtown. I
didn't notice anything. And you know what? I think if you go downtown, 95% of the people that are on the street or homeless are harmless.
Are harmless. Oh yeah. Of the homeless people, like even I would say 99% are probably just harmless. Absolutely harmless.
Are harmless, and there's nowhere for them to go. And again, if you have that lens that something's happened to them that unimaginable, and they're on something that just to numb the pain, I think you would have a different perspective on.
Yeah, rather than being pissed off at them, you'd have empathy for them.
Yeah, it's not to say that you have to like it. I don't think you have to like it. I just think it's a symptomatic of the situation with COVID, and I think it's symptomatic of the chronic underfunding. But there's literally no place for them to go.
Yeah.
There's no home to go back to. There's no, and I don't have an answer. Like I said, you can only. But I'm not gonna stop going downtown because this is
I love our city.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna. I think the coffee shop across the street went out too, didn't they? The one from your store,
Kitty Corner.
Yeah,
it's not closed.
But yeah, I rode my bike there today waiting
for... The one 1812, Cafe 1812, he's not closed. He's closed, but he will reopen. Yeah. But he can't open comfortably with COVID, is what he told me. He just can't do it comfortably.
Yeah, because I rode my bike there this morning.
He's having problems trying to get his deck licensed or something, his patio license, and that's what he wants is his patio.
Right. Okay.
He's got some problems there. And I just spoke to him, actually. He's a customer of mine, and I just spoke to him like a week ago. And he's frustrated, but sounds like he's okay. He will reopen. It's just
I was ready. I just rode my bike. I ride my bike every other day through that whole... just in the morning through on the bike path, which I love, by the way. I love the bike paths.
God. One of those.
So
I cycle. I used to cycle a lot,
right?
And I've cycled downtown, and it's good. I mean, there's bike paths everywhere. Like I've cycled downtown with a bike trailer on with my kids in it.
Yeah,
it's fine.
I don't. This is such a.
I don't like the bike paths on Pandora because it's a two-way bike path, and there's like problems with like right-hand turns every day.
Right.
There's someone turning when it's red for them and green for the bikes, and I'm just it makes me freak out because I feel like someone's gonna get freaking killed.
Yeah.
But other than that, bike paths are.
It's such a small
thing.
It's so small compared to their budget and what they're doing. It's just it just frustrates me when people you should stop spending money on bike lanes, and I'm like. It's like nothing.
$1 million.
It's like nothing.
Yeah,
it's like nothing.
I don't like the execution of the bike lanes, but I like bike lanes.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm one of those, and I like I said, I got property in the city of Victoria. I think it's a good. For the city of Victoria, they know the path to densification is happening.
That's a good thing.
And so you can't just keep. They're going to crowd out the cars. That's just the way it is. But if you keep putting people downtown, which they are trying to do, there's no other way to get around.
Right. And if they keep putting people downtown and keep densifying it and putting more living downtown, we don't need as many cars to go downtown because people that live out in the suburbs don't need to go downtown. Right. They all have their own villages that they can go and shop and go to restaurants in. And then the people that live downtown can support downtown as well as the tourists and then the few cars.
That's right.
It's the transition that is a bit difficult, I think.
Yeah,
right now we're in the transition phase. There's not enough densification quite yet.
Right.
And it's difficult for people to get down there, I think.
Yes.
Even though I drive downtown all the time.
Yes.
And it's absolutely fine.
Yes. So
like there's always parking in the parkades. Okay, sure. If you go at 2:00, it might be a little more difficult.
Right.
But if you want to find a spot directly across the street or in front of the building that you want to go to, you're going to have a problem. Walk a little, people.
Yeah.
It's okay to walk 3-4 blocks. Get a little exercise. Take a stroll. Give yourself 50. It's fine. You'll find spots.
Yeah, I guess I went to McGill in Montreal. If you ever been downtown Montreal,
I have.
There's absolutely
you don't
no
drive
room,
downtown Montreal.
There's no room for parking.
Yeah.
There's nothing. And
well, I was just in New York in November.
Same thing.
We walked everywhere.
Same thing. You can't park your car.
No, you don't take a car into the city.
You don't even need a car. You don't have a car. You just don't. So
yeah.
City of Victoria is. I mean, they're foreseeing this, but it might be early. But there's so much development happening right now, and. It's in 10, 20 years, those bike lanes are going to be critical to getting people around. So anyway, that's just me.
But no, fair enough. Hey, man, you're entitled to your opinion, and we're talking about it, right?
So got off topic.
No, that's good.
So you can go back to investing if you want, but
no. I wanted to talk to you about the homelessness. That's a big issue for people. safety for people in the city right now. I think some people are feeling uncomfortable because of the amount of homelessness and the stories that we're hearing about. If you listen to the radio, any of the local talk radios,
I listen to Adam Sterling all the time.
Yeah, me too, constantly. I'm actually a fan of his, but he's got some serious concerns about safety and what's going on in the park, and the kind of the criminal element that's kind of infiltrated the homelessness. But those criminal guys, they infiltrate every movement, protest. Yeah, they infiltrated Black Lives. They infiltrate the homeless thing. They just get there because they see an opportunity to take advantage of the situation, and you're always going to have that. Right? Like, there's nothing we can do. We can't live our lives and plan based on those couple of % of people that are going to make things shitty.
No. But there'll be, it's to be expected, and there'll always be a criminal element. I know right now, with the borders closed, the price of drugs in particular
have gone way up. Yeah.
So that's why you've seen a big spike in crime. Is because people,
they just can't afford to get their drugs at a reasonable price, and these are the hard drugs like like meth and heroin.
And so at the end of the day, it's a catch-22 when you do it. And so, and like I said, And the thing people don't realize is that if you're on, and maybe they do realize, but if you're on heroin, even alcohol, even if you're an alcoholic, you cannot just go cold turkey. You cannot. You medically need to be supervised to get off that stuff. Because you could die from just going cold turkey. So it's not reasonable to expect, without the supports to get off those drugs or alcohol as well. So at the end of the day, it's they got to feed their addiction it's terrible. It's a terrible disease. It's a terrible disease. And I think just having a little more empathy can go a long way. And like I said, even 10 years ago, my mind wasn't like this. Getting involved kind of opened my eyes a bit to realize, you know what, my attitude, I just was naive. I just don't understand why people just go get a job, go get yourself out of this. It's how hard can it be? But it is not. Once you understand that there's a significant trauma that's been they've suffered from it, and multiple, and continue to suffer probably. They have to want to get that help, and some will, some won't.
Yeah.
So, what do you do?
Yeah, I know. We just. That's cool though that you're helping out the way you go in a way you can. You know?
And I think I fell into it. I don't think I realized it when I started, but I think as I getting more educated about how it actually works, we got some work to do. And I think I'm going to throw it out to your listeners, all three of them. But I think what happens is instead of complaining, maybe try to figure out a way to
help.
Yeah. It's one thing you can complain, or you can, like, you know what, try to make a difference somewhere, a little bit, something, whether it's financial support, something, or whether it's volunteer your time, volunteer your talent. But I think as a community, there are a lot of good people out there trying to do their best, and it makes me proud of what we have, because there is a lot of good people trying to make a difference out there.
Yeah, nice. Okay, that's good. Let's talk about finances a little more.
Sure.
Not financial planning or investing. What about the state of our country? How are we looking? Like, we're giving away a shit ton of money right now.
Yeah, they said that our so what you have to look at is the percentage of debt relative to GDP. What that means, I think it's you have to look at the percentage, not at the gross amount of money we're giving away. So it's a percentage of our debt. And it's similar to, like, if you have a house and you got a mortgage, how much of the house are we borrowing against? And so the GDP is the house of the economy, and so the GDP of Canada, United States, and so I don't have the exact numbers, but I believe our debt to our GDP was 40% prior to COVID, and it was one of the lowest in the developed world, if not the lowest. And now we might be like back up to 70-80% of our economy. The United States will be over 100%. Japan's like 150%. Italy's way out over 100% of their economy. So as a country, we actually have the fiscal capacity. I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm just saying it's not as a percentage. We've been here before. After World War II, we hit these numbers, and we as a country worked our way out of it. So it's not unprecedented, but it hasn't happened since the end of World War II.
Right.
So what needs to happen is our economy needs to get back on track and rebuild, which we will. But there will be probably higher taxes and a little more austerity. But as long as the economy can get back on track, we should be able to grow out of this. And then the other thing is, if we do have inflation.
Yeah, I was going to say, are we just going to wait for inflation to minimize the debt?
Yes, so that's what I think everybody's hoping for. I haven't seen it, and
we haven't seen inflation we've been talking about inflation since 2008.
10, 20 years.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but we definitely need it. And not in like what our parents saw in the 80s there, but even if it's 2, 3, 4%, that will eventually deflate the debt relatively. What's worse is deflation.
Yes.
Deflation
makes debt harder to pay back.
Deflation is
more expensive to pay back.
So you're seeing it in Europe and Japan, and you're seeing deflation where.
Are you really?
Yeah. So the problem is that deflation, what happens is people don't buy anything because they think it's going to get cheaper next year.
Oh boy. And that
perpetuates a very big, serious issue. So we want to try to avoid deflation at all costs, and if we have some modest inflation, I think we'll grow ourselves out of this. But it's going to be tough for. It's going to depend. Like we had high debt. Our debt was high in early 90s, and we got out of it, but it was high taxes
and high interest rates too.
Higher interest rates, but. It's going to be a little bit tougher, I think, but we will get out of this.
Yeah. So, do you think we're like handling it properly, like as far as the CERB and?
I think the CERB.
I think it could have been administered a little bit better. I wish they had some sort of a stepping off program, like where you could get back to work and still collect some CERB, so you didn't feel like you were getting ripped off or whatever, but it encouraged you more to go back to work. Yeah.
So I think the CERB. And I agree with. I don't know if it's Trudeau or the Liberals or what. This was a tri-party. All three parties were. On board with this, but I think they just had to get the money out as fast as possible, which was important, and so they made mistakes. But I think they tried. Their goal was to get the money out as fast as possible. I think they did a pretty good job, and the same with the states. I think it's a similar situation.
Did the states actually get some money out?
Yeah, they got something similar to what we have.
Oh, people were saying they got like one payment of $1,000. I'm hearing.
No, they got the unemployment insurance was like $600 every week, but. Something similar to the CERB. They're having the same issues. The Republicans are trying to make it $200 a week, and the Democrats want to continue the $600. So they're having this debate, and it's the same. And it's the question is, you don't want to disincentivize people to go to work. And that's the same thing.
Same question in Canada.
Same issues we have. I think they're going to wind down this. They are going to wind down the CERB. And I think the wage subsidy has been a godsend. I'm sure for your business, hopefully for your business. Too.
I didn't really need it.
Didn't drop down.
Didn't drop enough. Yeah,
but I think
thank goodness.
Yes.
You know what? I'm a lucky one.
Yes.
We didn't drop down enough.
Yes. Yes.
As a matter of fact, we were actually up.
Yeah. Just go. Yeah. I'm even, and I'm a little bit down, but it's nothing.
But nothing. Nothing critical.
Yeah. Perfect. So, but I think overall that program, I think is going to have to carry on in some capacity for a while because you do need people to be working.
The wage subsidy is for what months in Canada? Can you still say you're down in July or August? No?
Yeah, so because
actually July and August have been incredibly soft, obviously at our downtown, incredibly soft.
Right. So I think what they're contemplating is adjusting it. So you had to be down 30% to get the wage subsidy, which is 75% of your wages.
Right.
But I think they're adjusting it. They're trying to get through Parliament here, but this whole scandal kind of sideline things. Yeah. But they
love the scandals.
Yes,
keeps things exciting.
So they're trying to do it at a percentage. So if you're down 20%, you get 20%.
Oh, okay.
If you're down 50%, you don't get 50%. So they're
Yeah.
kind of doing more of a percentage of revenue, and so and I think some version of that I think will be helpful. But nothing's going to get back to normal without a vaccine. So.
Yeah, I guess not, right? We need a vaccine.
Yeah, we need a vaccine. And the WHO came up today saying that there might not be a perfect vaccine either. So it might be something like the flu shot. Where
it's kind of okay, but not really 100%.
Yeah.
And
so it's like, at the end of the day, I think it's, but there'll be something. And I think we'll adjust. But until that happens, I don't see, I think the federal government in particular will have to step up. Continue to step up, which we have the capacity to, unlike maybe in Italy or the developing countries. So we are lucky in that way, but we'll get through it.
Yeah, I have no doubt that we'll get through it. People still seem to be spending money. Hopefully money that they have.
Yeah. Well, they say savings rates have gone up.
Saving rates have gone up?
Way up, like 25%.
Okay.
Like from 2 to 25%.
What's that from?
Well,
are people just spending less?
Spending less.
Yeah. Like, I mean,
there's nothing to spend. It's hard to
spend money.
I'm finding it hard to spend money if I go for dinner here and there, but
I've been out for dinner once since like Christmas time.
Yeah, I guess it's harder to spend money. I find because you're not going anywhere. You're not traveling. You're not traveling.
Yeah.
You might not need a new car because you're not driving. I went to Outlooks. I love Outlooks. I've shopped. But I went in there. I'm like, I haven't worn a suit in 4 months.
Yeah, right. You don't need a new suit.
I don't need a new suit. And so I just so it's hard. Like I'm trying to
go in there and buy a pair of socks or something for
I know, but
for
I'm
$50.
But that's the thing. People realize that I don't need as much stuff, and so the saving rates has gone up. So it can backfire, but and people realize I need to build up my reserves just in case there's a second wave, and so I think it's going to be. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
But I heard housing's gone through the roof, so it's just
housing is going up. I was talking to my my brother realtor, and he's actually shocked.
Yeah.
Maybe because there's I don't know what the numbers are right now, but there was very little product on the market during the COVID for about 2 to 3 months.
Right.
There was no product.
Right.
And maybe that built up some pent up energy in the market.
Right.
And then all of a sudden when things started to open up again, people were like, okay, we're ready. And now there's too many people trying to buy the limited quantity of properties, know? And right now, who wants to move right now? Yeah. It's not, moving is difficult at the best of times, let alone during COVID. I mean,
I can't explain. I can't explain the stock market. It's the same thing. It's pretty much back up to where it was. I can't explain. It's like Sam was talking to some realtor friends of mine. I'm like, they can't explain it either. I don't understand. I know interest rates are low, and I think the low inventory as well.
Well, the interest rates are incredibly low right now. Like a 5 year insured mortgage. They're talking 2%.
Yeah, for 5 years.
Yeah.
So,
but that's insured, not on a that's an insured mortgage.
You can get one for 2.25% now.
Yeah, I think I was just offered 2.19.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, that's those are all emergency rate stuff, but so that's might probably push the market up a bit. But I think at the end of the day, it's I think it's also the same with it's economics. It's low supply, higher demand. What are you gonna do, right? So I think people aren't. Just the inventory is really low. I remember when we bought our house in 2000, there was over, I think it was 5,500 listings, and now there's always been
there's always been at least 2 to 3, right?
Yeah. So not lately, but there used to be like 5,000 listings.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So I don't know if we're ever going to get back to that kind of.
Yeah, I don't know why we're not. But the way my realtor was saying is, if you look at the price of the house, it's prohibitive, right?
Yeah.
But if you look at the cost of the payment,
right.
Prices have actually gone down because the interest rate is so. Are you good for time?
Can you just pause for a second?
Yeah, we can pause.
Yeah, just pause. You want to pause that? I had to pick up my daughter.
I can't pause that, but
okay, no,
I'll just cut it.
Give me a sec. We'll go back
sure.
to it.
Yeah, sure. You didn't realize we were gonna be this long?
No, I just have to make sure my daughter gets picked up.
Yeah. She hanging out tonight?
Yeah, my wife's got to pick her up. Please still with Luigi. Okay. Good. Let's go.
Okay. So
interest rates.
Yeah, my realtor was saying right now with the way interest rates are going, if you look at the price of a house, it's cost prohibitive.
Yes.
But if you look at the payment,
yes, the
price of houses has gone down.
Yes.
Because the payments have literally gone down. So it depends on your perspective, I suppose. The price of houses, yes, the price has gone up.
Yes.
But your amortization and your payment hasn't.
Yes. So I think what I kind of
So I don't know if that's like a dangerous thing because the interest rates might not be this low forever. We don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
So
well, the thing is that if you
move that back.
Oh, sorry. If you do the math on the interest rates, you at a 2% interest rate. I don't know if I just was. You can do it after this, but at a 2% interest rate, your principal payment is probably like 55 to 60% of the payment.
Yes.
It used to be like 80% of it was interest.
Yes.
And now it's like 40 to 50% of his interest. So it's actually, I was surprised. I didn't even. I did this. I just this calculation a couple weeks ago. I was like, wait a sec. So as interest rates go down, the actual amount of interest you're paying goes down quite like
significantly.
Yeah. So I was, and I've been doing.
And
this
that's a good thing.
Yes, I was surprised. I was like, so you're mostly paying back principal, and it's going to be mostly principal throughout the life of the mortgage.
Yes, right.
So. Well, when we started, it was like 75-80% interest.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
So it was just like, we thought we never paid off.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, you see your statement. You're paying. I don't know what the numbers were, but it'd be like $849 in interest and $212.
No, it's like the other way around. So I was like, well, that's not a bad thing. And so then you. So I was kind of doing the math. I think what my understanding is, and David can correct me. Of course, but
someone will fact check us. I'm sure.
But I think if you buy $1 million house, you need a suite. You need a suite, or $1 million in that range. So, which is basically
everything,
which is an old around here, right? So you have a choice between buying $1 million house with a suite, if you can find it, or like a $550,000 to $600,000 townhouse or condo without a suite. So that's kind of like, I think that's what. In Langford, oftentimes. So that's kind of what the decisions are for first-time home buyers in particular.
Yeah.
But I think it's still tough to sell a 2 to 3 million, like something higher than 1.5 million. Like
yes, it is.
So it's just.
But I forget what he was telling me last month. Was it last month? There was a high percentage of houses that sold that were over 2 million. So there is movement in the high end of the market also. I mean, it'll be a different buyer, obviously.
Well, I think if you can sell,
and he has no idea who the heck's buying these houses because all the Asian money's dried up. So it's not coming in to the city. So he's not sure where the heck the money's
I think if you can
from.
if you have a ship box Gordon Head special for $1 million, 1.2 million, then you might have the equity to get it. And you can sell it for a premium because you can get into that higher market. So I think it's people
upgrading possibly.
Moving up, right? So. Not that I would sell or move, but at the end of the day, that's
Gordon Head's great.
Yeah, so
I'm not really in Gordon Head here, but
it's kind of Gordon Head.
Close enough.
You're close to Mom.
I say it's Gordon Head, and people correct me all the time because
I don't even know what is it. This is.
I don't know Maplewood. I don't know where the hell it is.
Yeah,
I don't want people coming to my house. Don't tell them my address.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
But yeah. So I think that the one caveat to that whole thing would be that your down payment
is higher.
Yes. So it's getting harder to get in.
Yes.
But once you're in, your monthlies aren't that bad.
Yeah. So that's kind of that's kind of where I would be. I do the math. I haven't been in the home buying market for 20 years.
Yeah, me neither.
But I think it's the other thing is as well the millennials, which is a bigger generation than the baby boomers. So
is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's quite a bit. It's quite a bit bigger than the baby boomers.
Really? So there's like another blip in the demographics. We're going to see a huge movement through.
Well, they're 25 to 40, 25 to 40-year-olds.
Okay. So all the way up to 4. Yeah, I guess
38 maybe.
Yeah.
Something like that. So they're right on that buy a house stage. And so
but they're not as important. It's not as important to them, is it? Home ownership? Or is it coming, like, for them?
I think it's coming. I think they're getting married. They're starting to have kids. They need more space. They need blah, blah, blah. So
they want to own a home?
I would say home ownership would be
a priority for them.
I think that hasn't changed. I believe home ownership has gone up over the years.
Sure.
So
okay.
I think, but I think renting will be more normal. But I think at the end of the day, there's still a lot of encouragement to try to own your own home. I think it's an important asset class to own.
Sure. I mean,
I would recommend most people to own their own home.
You would recommend most people don't?
Yeah,
I would as well.
I would recommend people own their own home.
You would?
Yes.
Okay.
Because your biggest expense in retirement will be rent.
Oh, I see. If you don't have a home to retire into,
your cost of living will be your cost of living somewhere will eat up most of your retirement income. So it will be cheaper for you over the long term to own your place, whatever it is. It could be a condo,
townhouse, house, yeah, whatever.
So I think owning your own home.
I really believe people need to buy and own a home that's below their means, like, if possible. I know that's very difficult in our marketplace here, but trying to get into a home that is just less expensive and putting less money in there would be better.
Yes, I think there's a tendency to try to buy new all the time. And I think
bigger, better,
faster, better. But I think at the end of the day, it's I think the key, and I think the way we grew up, delayed gratification was just. Our parents are still kind of delayed.
They always delay
gratification. So
I know.
So
I try to tell my mom to
try to live a bit.
Yeah. You know, I don't know if it's an immigrant mentality, if it's a post-war mentality, but my mother and father worry about when they pass that they want to make sure the kids get something.
Yeah.
And I'm telling them, like, Don't worry about us.
Yeah,
we're fine.
Yeah, same with my.
They're still gonna have a house that we'll sell and share in that bounty. You know, why we don't just don't just blow the cash.
Yeah,
use it wisely, but use it.
Yeah,
you know,
well,
use it.
My
Enjoy
parents,
it.
my parents do travel a lot. They have lived a bit, but at the end of the day, if they ever watch this, I think they I think for the most part they've tried to. Save and they're enjoying it a little bit now, but now with COVID, it's going to be harder to enjoy things. So I think, and at the end of the day, depending what era our parents were born in, I think coming out of the war in Italy
was brutal.
Yeah,
it was brutal for my dad. Well, no, excuse me, for my mom's side. My dad's wasn't so bad.
Right.
My mom's side was.
I think rough. It was tough on my dad's side. I think
because your dad was from Cosenza, right? Yeah. They weren't farmers. Was your dad a farmer?
Yeah, they had a 25-acre olive.
So they might not have been so bad off because my dad had land. They weren't so bad off, but my mom's side they didn't have land. They just had like a it's like, for lack of a better word, row house.
Yeah.
You know, those old brick attached homes, and they were carpenters.
Yeah.
On my mom's side, and who the hell's going to buy your furniture when they can't afford to feed their family? So they were like starving.
Well, I know my in-laws, they grew up in the Azores there, and it was my mother-in-law in particular. Her father died at, I think she was 10, and so they had 8 kids. Her mom took care of all of them, and it was just a tough life.
Go.
And so I don't think and then my out of the war in Italy, which was decimated, obviously, it was tough. Eventually, Italy got their shit together, but at the time when all those Italians immigrated out of Italy, right, all over the world, but they, I don't think you get that. I don't think they forget that. And I don't think they. That's just who they are.
Yeah, yeah. And that probably that goes for the Germans that immigrated out of Germany, and probably the French too, and any country that was really ravaged by the war. Those people left. They didn't leave because they wanted to leave. They left because they wanted to feed their families.
Yeah. And they wanted a better life, and and all those countries now, if you go back, they've kind of moved on, and they've reestablished their economies, and it's a different place.
Yes.
I'm still glad I'm here, but the way they were raised, I think they didn't have much, and I think that they came to Canada with that, and they just to make sure you don't waste anything, and you just work hard and
plant your garden and make sure you always have food security. And
so
the immigrants, all the immigrant families are like model citizens when it comes to food security, right? Yes. Pantries full, and I'm not just talking about Italians, like any immigrant.
Yes.
Pantries full of preserves, tomato sauce, gardens fully growing. Like, I swear that my parents could feed themselves for 3 months.
Yeah.
If there was ever an issue with food shortages, they've got it set up, right?
Yeah. No, same with my parents. And so at the end of the day, and I don't know. It's interesting to see with our kids what they're going to be like, because we grew up, probably same with you, like pretty, I don't know if middle class, lower middle class, but we weren't poor in any sense, but
I never felt poor.
Yeah, but I think definitely middle class. But our kids, definitely upper middle class.
Yeah, I worry about that a little bit. The entitlement.
Yep, because
so I'm trying a new thing with my oldest daughter. She's like, Dad, she has her own podcast too, right? She's using my equipment, and she's like, Dad, I want to do some vlogging. I'm like, okay. She goes, I need you to buy me a vlogging camera, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to buy you a vlogging camera, but I'll make you a deal.
Right.
I'll support you in earning the money to get your vlogging camera.
Yeah.
Like, I could go out and buy it for her, of course, and I want to. I want deep, like inside, I just want to go and do it for her because I know it's something she's passionate about, and it's great. Keeps her out of trouble, keeps her busy, keeps her at home. She's working hard, she's doing her thing, and I love it. It could, who knows, maybe become part of her career path later on. Right. But I'm like, but you don't have a job. I mean, you're almost 16 now. Yeah. By the time I was your age, I was already working, not that I needed to really, but I wanted my own cash. So I'm like, I'm trying to negotiate with her now. Yeah. She wants a new phone. I'm like, I'll help you earn the money to get that phone. Right. I'll help you earn the money to get it. I'm not going to just give it to you as a handout.
That's the right way to do it.
I think I'm hoping that's the right way to do it. Like, you want to do a little work for me? You can come to the store, you can do a little cleanup, you can do a little whatever, you can do this, you can do that, some drawers around, something. We'll set it up. We'll negotiate. Yeah. You'll earn the money, and you're going to buy your own phone or your own camera or whatever it is. Right. Rather than just constantly giving them the cash, At the same time, I don't want them to have this feeling that money is this elusive, difficult thing to earn. Right. Because that's, I think, wrong also. Right. If you feel that way, if you think that way, you're always going to be struggling to earn it. Right. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm just, I'm just trying my best. We're going to
figure this out as time goes on. And my son, he's 19, so he's doing student painters all summer. He's been making good money. Yeah, and still living rent free, but he's at school, so
that's okay. You know what? I don't mind them living rent free. I don't have a problem with that. Yeah. If you're in a different financial situation and your parents don't have a lot of cash flow or the ability, and you need to pay some rent, I totally get it. I understand. Right. But if you're not struggling for the cash, and your kid is doing good things, living rent free, I have zero issue with that. Zero issue. If they're just slacking off or goofing off, and then I think you should start to implement something so that they start to buckle down a bit. But like if my kids are going to school or working and earning money and saving up for something or doing something and want to travel, I want to support them in that. Right. But at the same time, I don't want to just keep like shelling out cash for nothing, like there's got to be a balance.
One of the lessons I learned just as a just seeing a lot of clients and their kids, and I remember when I learned this, but I just realized, so you have a kid that's making whatever, $2,000 a month, not paying rent.
They got to start saving.
Well, yeah, they got to start investing. They start saving, but they're not saving. They're spending that $2,000 a month. Mm-hmm. What are you teaching? Like, even if you're not charging them, like, say they're not in school and they're just making,
they're just working. They're making a couple grand,
a few grand a year, but they're not paying any. They're spending all of their income.
Right.
You're setting them up for failure because that's not the real world.
Right.
So charging them a little bit of rent, even if you give it back to them later.
Yes.
They learn that, okay, I can't just spend
everything. Yeah.
Because when they get out and on their own, they realize, oh my God,
I'm on rent and hydro and food, and
so they're accustomed to spending everything, and so it's hard to reverse that. That habit. It can be hard to reverse that habit because you've set them up in a way that they could spend everything.
What they need is,
right,
if anyone's watching, so what they need is a financial planner, and they set up a deal with their kid. Yeah. Okay, you're making $2,000 a month. In the real world, you would be paying $500-600 a month if you were having a room somewhere, and another couple $100 a month on food. Okay, so let's just say arbitrarily that's $700 a month.
Right.
You still get to earn the $2,000. You're going to take the $700, and you're going to invest that money into your mutual funds, TFSA, whatever, education, say whatever they decide. Yes. You take that money, you put it away, so as if they're paying real expenses, but it's still their money, and that money's going to sit there and continue to grow, and do great things, so that when they decide to go out on their own, they're going to have this huge nest egg, and they're going to be just literally set, not completely for life, but pretty damn good head start,
getting a good start, and
start.
And the other thing they forget about as well is like this Uncle Sam, but CRA, right? Because they don't realize. What do you mean? I got to pay taxes.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? So I got to give what? And so they get used to spending it all, but they don't realize they won't, when they get on their own, they won't. That's not realistic because they make $3,000-4,000, but they're actually making whatever $2,500 net, and then they're not paying it. So I think as parents, if you can, try to charge them something. Whatever you want it to be, or get them to save something. But at the end of the day, it's if you don't, then you're asking for a bit of a trouble down the road. Because they're used to a certain habit of not worrying about that stuff when they should be. Because nobody told them. Yeah,
because if you're earning $2,000 a month and you're paying $700 between food and rent, which is a low number,
right?
And then another $300 or $400 in taxes, EI, CPP, blah blah blah. You're left with like $800 or $900.
Right. You got a cell phone, and if you have a car.
Yeah. So now that's a more realistic number. That $800 or $900.
Yes.
And then out of that, you're gonna pay for your car insurance, your fuel, your cell phone, your clothing. That's okay. I get, because we all have certain amount of fixed expenses. We all have to spend some money.
Right.
That would be a much more realistic approach and outlook for them, right?
Yeah. So that's if you get them at least thinking about it early and getting them. But if they're just completely blowing their whole paycheck, and you let them do it for a year, 2, 3 years, 4 years, because kids aren't moving out these days. When the time comes for them to move out, it's going to be harder for them to do that.
Yeah.
So it's important that you, and the other thing is trying to ensure that they have the skills to try to make at least earn a little bit more than a few thousand, the minimum wage. Right?
Well, sure. So those are, the early years are the years where they can go out and get a job.
Yeah.
Make a couple $1,000 a month, explore their options, learn about what they want to do.
Right.
Go to school.
Right.
We're blessed because we have the ability to do that for our kids. You want a little more?
Oh yeah.
Let me pour it. We're in a very lucky. You and I are both in a a very good position where we can do that for our kids. It would be a shame to waste the opportunity.
Right. And that's where I see a lot of parents. I've seen a lot of parents enable their kids a bit more, and then they're at, the kids are 26, 27, 28. Trying to 30, trying to like make it on their own, and they're so used to
spending all their
spending it that they get a car, they lease, they live a good lifestyle, they travel, they're doing all the things that they think they can afford, but the reality is that's not when the real world comes. It's not. You haven't helped them.
Yeah. Right.
So.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's just experience, but I don't know if I'm going to get it right either. So
yeah, I mean, we're just talking, and it's we're doing our best, right? Yeah, we're definitely not.
So I try to. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll come.
So I might be eating crow.
We'll podcast again in 5 years and see how it went, right? But I mean, who the hell knows? But. Yeah. I think that at least the thing is you got to try and plan something out. You got to at least think about it.
Yes.
It doesn't mean you're going to get it right.
Right.
It doesn't mean you're going to do a good job. It doesn't mean anything's going to work out.
Right.
Everything can go to hell.
Yeah.
But at least you're planning.
Yes.
No plan at all.
Yeah.
You're definitely going to fail, right?
Yeah.
And what's that saying? People don't plan to fail; they fail to plan.
Correct. Yeah.
So you got to at least have some sort of a plan.
And it's okay to, because our parents didn't give a shit, but to let your kids suffer a bit.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
my parents are like, whatever, figure it out. So it's just, I'm sure your parents were the same. So at the end of the day, it's like,
no, my parents didn't let me suffer.
They let you suffer?
No,
come on,
no,
a little bit.
You
were such a good kid.
Oh, bullshit. I mean, I didn't cause them too much trouble. I don't think.
Me neither. But
I think they always helped us too much.
Yeah, and I think...
I feel. And there's a lot of times where they're still trying to help us. I'm like, Mom, stop.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need your help anymore. Like, stop.
Well, there's I remember my son, so he's 10, 11 years old, rep hockey. No, hockey. That wasn't rep hockey. It was house hockey at the time.
Yeah.
And he got cut from the rep tryouts because he wasn't.
Ouch.
Just wasn't.
And
he had his heart set at it.
Yeah.
And he was upset. He was crying. He was upset. And I can't believe it. Blah blah. I said, well, son, reality is you're not a very good skater.
You're just not good enough. Yeah.
Just you're not good enough. And he
did he get pissed?
He got pissed off at me, and I'm like, and I said, but I will pay for skating lessons. We can do power. I don't want to do power skating. It's too much work.
Power skating's awesome.
I'm just like, but if you wanted to the extra 1 or 2 skating lessons a week, I think we could try again next year. But you got to get your skating up to speed. And so, first month or so, it just didn't. But eventually, about a month or 2 later, he said, Dad, maybe I should go in this power skating lesson. I said, oh,
nice.
I'll put you in those power skating lessons, and they're just brutal. But
so a lot of people might not know what power skating is. Not speed skating.
Yeah,
it's basically a course.
Yes,
to teach you how to put power into your stride to become a better, faster skater.
Yes. So he didn't. He needed to do that.
Yeah, and pretty good.
And he did, and he worked at it, and then. When he was 13, he made the B team, which is a B rep team.
Okay.
And then eventually he made the A team.
Nice.
And then in his final year, he was the captain of the A team.
Holy crap!
Yeah, went to provincials twice, and he was. But
you had to put in the work.
You had to put in the work.
Yeah.
You got to put in the work, and so that was a big lesson on. But it was hard to watch him get cut. Suffer out there and just know that I just knew that you just weren't good. But a lot of parents just want to make it easier for them, and I'm just like, no, it's just. I just told them you're not. You don't
just
have
not
the
good
skill.
Enough. Yeah.
And same thing now. Like Dad, I only making $16 an hour. I said, the reality is, you have no skill.
That's pretty good, actually.
Yeah,
that's
very. Yeah. So I'm like,
it's a buck over and a bit over minimum. I think I deserve
more than $16 an hour, or $15 an hour. I said,
why?
The reality is, you have no skill.
Yeah.
Well, that's a mean thing to say, Dad. I said, reality, you don't. So you have no skill to command 20, 25, 30, 40, $100, $200 an hour, whatever it is.
You develop the skill.
Yeah, So I'm not afraid to I'm not afraid to tell them the truth at times, but it can be blunt. But I think a lot of parents just think their kid walks on water, and I'm like, in terms of like whatever, in general. But at the end of the day, most in terms of employment, in terms of getting a job and stuff, they got to develop that skill, and if you want to get better, you got to work at it, and just so. And if you work at it, there's no guarantee that you'll get the successes that you're looking for, but you're giving yourself a better chance of succeeding, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the same in life. That's the same in business. That's the same in marriage. So, you got to work at it.
Yeah. No, a lot of people don't realize when, like I was saying earlier, the first 10 years of my business life, that was my life. Mm-hmm. It was as if I was going to school and then some, 5 days. Well, what the hell am I talking about? 5 days.
7 days a week.
7 days a week, man. Evenings. You know what? In some ways, that was a long weekend, right?
Right.
I worked Saturday.
Yeah.
I worked 5 hours on Sunday.
Yeah.
I worked 5 hours on Monday.
Yeah.
And I went to work today.
Yeah.
That's just life.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And then the rest of the week, I'm taking Friday day off, but I'm working night.
Right.
It's and I do not recommend that.
Right.
But sometimes it just is.
Yes.
And that's it.
Right.
The only other option would be for me to close one of my stores.
Right.
Well, can't happen.
No.
It just can't happen.
No.
So, I sometimes I get choked when people say stuff like, people can't afford to live in this city, or they can't afford housing, or they can't afford this. And I get it. It is very, very expensive. But we can always work more. My dad always worked 2 jobs. Always.
I would,
evenings and weekends. And I don't say that that's necessarily the best thing.
Right.
But it's an option. What's your slant on that?
I think it's so there's a couple books.
You can totally disagree with me.
No,
I will not get offended.
I absolutely agree with you. There's a book called The Rational Optimist and Factfulness. And the reality is we live in a society today, outside of COVID.
Yeah, forget COVID. COVID's an anomaly.
That is probably the kids born today are the luckiest kids that have ever been born
in this country.
In the generation of the world.
Yes.
And I don't subscribe that life is hard, because we are very lucky, and there's so much opportunity for our kids today, more than when we had back then. There's so much more advances. There's so much more everything's
opportunity, technology, information.
It's just outstanding. What the world has gotten better over history, over the last 10, 20, 30 years has gotten better than it ever has been.
Well, yeah. And we already live in a great country.
We live longer. Crime rates have gone down. People are more wealthy than they've ever been. We live in a great country.
Better standard of living.
Yes. So there's really no excuse. And I think what happens is that the whatever, it's the media that plays out the debate that life's hard. But life, if you believe, if you believe life's hard, you're right. If you believe life's easy, you're right.
Or if life's beautiful,
you could be right. You're going to be right no matter what you believe in. So So I think I don't subscribe that life. Yes, things are more expensive. If you want to talk about housing affordable, more expensive than they ever were. But also interest rates are way lower than ever. So just like you were alluding before. But it also means that for my kid to get, and I know this, to get into the housing market, short of me giving him the money, if he just saves his money, invests it in the market, grows his money from a young age, he will have the down payment that he needs to get into the housing market like we did.
Mm-hmm.
So
100% agree with that. He's 19 years old, making $16 an hour. He should be saving right now.
Yeah, and he is. And he absolutely is. And so I have no doubt. It might take him a little bit longer than me, but I have no doubt that if he continues to save more than he spends, he'll get into the housing market at an age similar to what we got into.
Mm-hmm.
So but that's delayed gratification. That's just all the same stuff we grew up with. So it's just at the end of the day, it's not. What happens is that you wake up at. What can happen is you wake up at 25, 30, 35. You're like, I don't have a pot to piss in. How am I going to get in the housing market? So, well, yeah, it's harder but if you can start earlier, and just get the right skill, right mindset in place, and have that goal, there's no reason for you not to be able to succeed at that goal. There's no reason. Yeah. I don't think that.
And maybe owning a big house with a white picket fence. Maybe that's not a reality, but still having somewhere to call home.
And reducing your expectations a bit. And you don't have to have my house or your house. You can just start small. And
I started small. Oh my God.
We all start small. So at the end of the day, the opportunities, I think nowadays, they're there. They always have been. They've never, and it's the same. The same. I don't think the economy today is any harder outside of COVID, which I think is an anomaly. But
yes,
in the early 90s, the economy was the shits. And so when 2008 and 9 happened, part of me was like, I've been through this before. This is not something new, right? So I think you can subscribe to a doomsday mentality, or you can subscribe to rolling up your sleeves, working that extra job, investing your money, spending less than you make, and you can, if you have a goal, you can set that goal and work towards that goal. There's no reason why you can't do that in this day and age.
Absolutely no 100%. You know, until 10 years ago, my car was worth $2,000.
Right.
You know, I see guys that are like 19 years old driving cars that are more expensive than what I drive now.
I have a
$2,000 car.
Yeah.
Until I was 30, let's say 11 years ago, because I don't want to lie.
Right.
Until I was 37 years old, my car was worth $2,000. I sold my MG.
Right.
That I drove. I did deliveries in that car. Yeah. I moved product around in that car.
Right.
It was worth $2,100, I think, when I sold it.
I
could have bought a more expensive car.
Yeah.
But I didn't really want to.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to use my money for other things.
Well, I drive a 2011 BMW X1. It's, I guess, 10 years old now. It's out of all my, I'm going to say my associates, I think I had the cheapest.
Oh yeah, the cheapest, cheapest car, cheapest, shittiest
out of anybody. And I get comments like, "Why are you driving that car?" I said, "It's a $10,000 car." It's like, I can afford a bigger car.
Yeah.
My goal is not aligned with buying a fancy car.
Not right now, no.
No, and I've never been a car guy, so some people like their nice cars. I've never been attracted to putting that much money on the road, but at the end of the day, I might one day. But right now, even now, I'm like, no. My goal is to now is to be able to be financially independent, and so if I buy $100,000 car or $80,000 car, that's not going to work.
Yeah, it's not going to work.
It's not going to. It's just the math doesn't work. So until I get to that point, and I'm not going to be comfortable spending that kind of money on a car. So I think that's. I don't.
But you're going to get that Ferrari one day, right?
No,
no. I don't. You know what? I don't even know if I'm going to either. I might like a Porsche.
I have a client that has a Ferrari.
Yeah.
And he took me for a ride in it, and a new one. It's
like brand new.
Brand new. Yeah.
Oh
it's
my
like
God.
a $400,000 car.
Oh my gosh.
But it's got 7,000 RPM? How many horsepower? 700 horsepower.
Are you serious?
Yeah. 700 horsepower. And we were going down Beach Drive, and I was like, he was going so fast. I was just like,
slow down.
I'm like, after a while, I was like, and then just like, it totally turned me off. I was just like, I couldn't drive a car that fast. Not even a million years. I was like, it's a nice car to look at, but I'd be scared shitless to drive it. And if you don't know how to drive the Ferrari,
oh yeah, you'll wreck it.
You'll wreck it because it's real 700 horsepower to the rear wheels.
Yes,
it's not all-wheel drive, and so if you don't know what you're doing, you're fucked. And so he told me that. I was like, I'm not buying this car. No fucking way am I going to buy a car.
If I get a Ferrari, which I would love a Ferrari. I would get an old one, like an old classic. It's not about going fast for me.
Yeah.
It's just something. It was just something beautiful, you know. But I don't know if you know what? I don't know if I'll do it. I could probably do it now, but like maybe not one of those old classics that are worth like a bunch, but I don't know if it's like really I don't know.
I don't.
And the price of those cars, they've gotten ridiculous in the last 10 years anyway. There's just no I don't see the value anymore. But
you know, and I'm not saying not to buy a car.
No, I love
cars.
And
to enjoy it, but the part of me is I got other goals that I want to achieve first, and getting my kids through school. University is one of them. So I think that's stuff like that. So it's just, but I think I just see a lot of people just don't have that delayed gratification. That's the key ingredient to building financials, like just in general in life, to have just that delayed gratification. So you don't need everything now. Just build for it, and I think that you're going to build. It's going to be a real foundation of success if you have that thinking. But at the same token, you gotta enjoy life along the way.
Yeah, like we go to this little island every year, and my daughter wants me to buy a cabin up there. Yeah. Right. And then in my dream of dreams, that would be a wonderful opportunity or lifestyle.
Right.
But at this point in my life, I don't want to invest in a non-cash flowing asset. Like if I'm like there's some
you're just not there yet.
Yeah, I'm not there. There's some inexpensive properties there, like not waterfront.
Yeah,
you could probably pick them up for $100.50 or something like that, and I could afford to pay that and everything.
Right.
But I'm thinking $100.50, properly invested, that's gonna go a long way, right? And then if you want to get something on the ocean, it's like $300 to $500 and yada yada yada. And I'm like, I'm doing the math in my head, and I'm like, okay, what's the revenue potential of this if I wanted to purchase now and possibly it doesn't work. It just never works. It doesn't work. There's no cannot cash flow it.
It never works.
And I'm like,
you're better off
buying a low fee index fund.
But just
or just renting
it for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
for $3,000.
I could take that $100,000, invest it, and use the interest from that money to rent it for 2 weeks a year and live. And then not have to cut the lawn or fix the roof.
You have insurance, and you got to go to the same place every year. Then you can't rent
insurance, the property taxes.
You can't rent it between basically October and April.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're like, I've run the numbers. At Phoenix,
to
Hawaii, to California, to Salt Spring. To
Hawaii might be the best because people will rent it there more months of the year.
Yes, I think. But even then, it's astronomical too.
But then the prices are so high.
So I've never. Unless you. Now, me and my wife have contemplated getting a place. We may one day for our grandkids. That's where our head's at.
Right.
But right now, it just
doesn't.
It doesn't work. But at the end of the day, even I have friends that own places on Shawnigan.
Forget it. Shawnigan's out of reach now. It's
I'm
like 700, 800 grand.
But how many times are you going to use it?
Well, that's the thing. Like, unless you move there and live there, then okay.
Yeah, but how many times are you going to use it? You might use it even if it's a month in the summer.
I don't have that much time.
No.
That's like a boat. My kids want me to buy a boat.
No,
I got a little 12-foot aluminum with a 10 horsepower motor on it. I never use it. Mm-hmm. Why would I use an 18-footer with a 90 on it? When are we going to use it?
Never gonna use
We're never going to use it. It's going to sit in the driveway. I told my brother, I said, you buy a boat.
Well, I told my wife because I don't like
and I'll rent it from you like 2 months a year.
I don't like the ocean at all. I get seasick very easily. So I said, honey, you and my brother, you go buy a boat. I'm out because I can't stand being on the. My brother wants a boat. I'm just like, you guys buy a boat.
It's crazy. We should own a boat. We should because it's so beautiful, the ocean here. But it's like, when am I going to use it? Like I whenever I want holidays and trying to take time off, that's my busiest time of year. Yeah. Summer is my busiest time of year when I can't leave. Yeah. And everyone else wants holidays then.
Right.
So my best time of the year to leave is October, November. I'd way rather take the money I'm spending on a boat or a cabin and all that interest and all that debt. And we can go on a vacation in November for a month, and we can go somewhere different, somewhere hot every year. I get way more enjoyment out of that investment.
But then you can change places. You can go,
and I can go to Phoenix one year. I can go to Hawaii. I can go to Florida. I can do whatever, right?
So at the end of the day,
all those places are in the U.S., which we're not going to.
Well, you're better off renting a place, even if it's nicer. Just rent it. And like I said, a friend of mine told me once. I'm not a big golfer, but he says, talking about joining Uplands or Victoria Golf Course, and he said to me, Dan, take the $25,000 initiation fee.
Yes.
Stick it in a bank account.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you just take the golf fees, which are $7,500 out of that bank account. You'll never use that $20,000.
Right. Like just pay your pay the green fees every time you're going somewhere. You'll never use it out.
Use the $25,000 ever, at all. Because you also have to pay like $400 or $500 a month.
Yeah.
So it's just like it's like unless you're golfing 4 times a week.
Yeah. Which you and I can't do that. We've got kids.
I would never be able to golf 4 times a week. No. Even once, I might be able to get once a week.
I don't even know if I'd like it.
Yeah.
I don't think I could golf.
It's the same thing with green fees. Like only joining a big, unless you love golf, there's no point joining these places.
Yeah.
So it's the same. I'm just too practical.
Yeah.
Just too practical.
I hate to say it. I think I am too.
Too practical.
Yeah.
So it's just.
It's like the same as owning a boat.
Yeah.
For the 5 times a year I'm going to use it, I could just go to a marina, rent a boat,
but my wife
or buy a fishing charter.
I have to say that I want to. I've been told I don't have enough fun. I gotta learn to have fun.
Yeah, me too.
And so we got to.
My wife forces me to do stuff. I hate it.
Well, we got to stop because it's you'll get to a point if you're not there already that when's enough, and you got to start enjoying it because we're at the latter half of our lives. We are. We've lived half. There's less
life left than we've lived.
More than half.
Yeah, we're more than halfway. Yeah.
So
we're almost 50.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, it's you know
30 good years left. We got to do something.
If nothing happens.
If nothing happens,
I think most of my clients after the age of 70, if you live that long, they don't start doing stuff.
Yeah.
Stop doing stuff. So at the end of the day, when you get to the point you have enough is enough, you do enjoy it because life it could be gone.
Yeah.
So and you've worked all your life for what, right?
Yeah.
So it's a balance, be responsible but enjoy life, and I've had to learn that. When you're in the I would say first, when you're building a business and then, takes 10 years of grinding and then maybe the next 10 years you're kind of like finally stabilized. And then you're getting to a point after 20 years, like, things are good now. Then do you take the gas off the foot off the gas? So I think we all have to like that. That's important.
Yeah.
You can't,
a little balance.
You can't just keep making more and more and more. It gets to a point where it's when's enough, and I think we're there.
I don't know if I'm there, but
you're there. Listeners, he's there. So
what's that?
You're there. If your wife listens to this, so
if my wife listens to this, she'll be like, "Yeah, you tell him, Dan, he's there." Like we went to Sydney Spit on Monday. I didn't want to go. I was like, I'm so stressed out. I should just go to work.
Yeah.
I got so much to do, right? Yeah, the reality is I still went to work. I just went in the evening. I got home, went to work, 6:30, 7 o'clock, worked till 10 or 11, whatever it was. And I still got all the stuff done I needed to do, but at least I had a day at the beach. I smoked a cigar with my brother, hung out with my wife and kids. We went for a little walk, at least it's something, right? Like,
yeah. I saw Paul last week. We had my parents' 50th anniversary at his restaurant there, the Guidos.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
We spent the afternoon, Saturday there.
Well, just your wife and you and your mom and dad?
My family, yeah. It's just my family, my brother, my parents.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I'd never been to Guido's. Actually, I was quite impressed.
Yes, nice little spot, isn't it?
Paul did a great job.
It's
not like I will go there more often. It's not on the way to anything.
I know. It's a place for the community that he's in, right? Yeah. It is kind of at the end of the roads, though, where it is. It's like funny, right? Like if you know Victoria, kind of like Esquimalt, that's like the end of the road. You're not going anywhere from there, right? Yeah. You got to go back the same way.
But ironically,
it's a nice little spot.
That location was my dad's. So he owned Esquimalt Welding.
Yes.
And the welding shop, the original welding shop, was in his parking lot.
In his parking lot?
On that property.
Like, what do you mean by in the parking lot? Like,
they tore it down, like 1977.
Oh, there was like a structure in the parking lot?
Yes.
Are you serious?
Yes. And so the shop that my dad, they eventually tore it down, but the original.
Did they tear it down and then build that house thing there?
Yes.
And that's the
exact same spot, which is, it was a little
That's
bit
weird, yeah.
It was a little weird, but it was, and then my dad moved his business to our home in Colwood at the time. We had a shop in the back, and so that's where he had his business. But it was just I knew it was there, but I knew that location had that shop there one time, but it was my dad was talking about it to Paul at the time.
That's hilarious.
Just like,
that's weird, eh?
Like, just weird.
Yeah.
Just weird.
That'd be cool if you had a couple old pictures or something.
I think there is somewhere.
There must be,
around,
right?
Flown around, yeah. So
yeah.
It's just, but Squamish Welding, that's where it originated. That's
right on Grenville.
Right on that. Right where
Guido's is.
Yeah. I think they built that must have built it in the 70s.
Yeah, I have no idea. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's weird.
Cool. Yeah,
just a little tidbit.
Yeah.
So.
All right, Dan Greco. Well, I think this has been a very good podcast. What the hell are you talking about? You're not a good talker. You're a very interesting, knowledgeable, thoughtful guy.
Thank you.
I really highly enjoyed this. I enjoyed your perspective on things.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, you're welcome. I like having guests like you. I mean, I've only had a few guests on, but it gives me different perspective, right? Because I like to be able to have a conversation with someone like you and throw ideas back and forth so that I can learn.
Yeah.
You know, like when we're talking about homelessness, I don't know everything, and sometimes I've got like what I think I know, but it might not be right.
Right.
So it's a good way, and I hope that the people that see this can take away knowledge.
Right.
Right.
Right. And like I said, it's kind of, you learn as you do, as you go along, and I think I never stopped learning. You always, as you get older, you keep learning, and it's experience, and it's just life's perspective. You just get older, and you just get maybe wiser, maybe
hopefully.
I think when we were in our 20s, even 30s, we were just spitting fire and just fire in our belly.
Piss and vinegar.
Just to get up and running, right? But I think you learn from your from the struggles and from the if you have that perspective, I think that you learn more from doing and from failing, really, than from the successes, because I think that's how you learn. And I think for me, over the especially the last 10 years, it's been a bit eye-opening in terms of that. Life is fragile, but at the same token, we are the luckiest people where we're at in the world, and where our kids are, and where we live. We're just very, very, very lucky and blessed, and it's just a gratitude of that. But that's something I think you grow into over time.
Yeah. Cool, man. Awesome.
Cheers.
Chicken wing.
Okay.
Cheers, man.
Okay, thanks, man. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, pleasure. All right. That's it. Hey.
It's all good.
Yeah, that's beautiful. What do you think of that?
That was good. Yeah, I was worried. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. But
there you go. It's so easy, isn't it? Because we just...